All right, welcome everyone to CRWS Radio. I'm your host, 0536. We're going to get started with the audio clip I'm going to play before we start our racism decompression. So let me get it set up for us. It's about 15 minutes. People we're going to be listening to are Dr. Francis Percival singing Henry Clark, and Wilson, sorry, Doctor, and Dr. Joy Degree, and I believe I may have put other folks in here, but we're gonna get started. Share my screen.
All of us as Black people must participate in turning the future into what we all believe and know that it should be. A planet and a universe where there is justice. Justice does not exist on planet Earth today. This planet, whether we like it or not, is dominated by the greatest system of injustice, the greatest system of violence that has ever existed on this planet. I believe that we as Black people, the first people assigned to planet Earth, the mothers and fathers of everybody who has existed on this planet, that it is our cosmic assignment in the presence of injustice, see that justice prevails. Not the responsibility of some singular individuals that somebody might say that's a leader, or those several people are leaders. We all must see ourselves individually when we look in the mirror as being leaders in this great counter-war against injustice. Not leaders who are doing their own thing, but leaders who want to participate in seeing that the beings on this planet can be everything that the Creator intended for us to be.
My mental notes for this morning is about the serious business of being serious. And oppressed people, realizing the nature of their oppression and not being able to face it frontally, generally began to fantasize and create a world for themselves that is unreal, while the real world marches on and sometimes leaves them behind.
Know that since 1970, I have been making a statement about what I understand to be what is going on. And I have been saying to people that we as Black people greet each other by saying what's happening. And I say we put that greeting in the form of a question because we don't really understand yet what's going on. And so after today, I hope that we will be greeting each other by saying, you do know what's happening, don't you?
Peer and go through this kind of abuse and attack that I have to go through in order to try to reunite the black man and the black woman in America based on somebody else's appeal or suggestion or anything else. This is a painful process, but the digestive process is threefold. You have to first take the medicine in. You have to swallow it and let the nutrients go throughout the system, and then you have to have elimination. So we're in the process of eliminations, and my lectures are a major success because we address those things. We get that pain out, and we deal with the fact that our man has been hurting. Certainly we are hurting, and we're all in pain, but we have to come back together on that issue and try to work it out. I don't like the picture in the book. It's an ugly picture, but we have an ugly problem that we have been turned into as a result of living here in white America. Many of us do not have knowledge or information and education that can benefit the larger community. What I'm saying is that we have mixed up our priorities. We cannot go outside the home and correct it until we correct the problems we have inside the home. So our being out of control is that we have refused to allow and accept the black man to give us any direction on anything we're doing. Just like the black man's failure and his impotence to function in this society, that's not innate. This is something that has been bred into us since we have come to this country. What we need to do now is to recognize, where we are, and for us sisters, not to fight me if you are not guilty of the things that I charge in my book. I need you to get on my side and to help me raise these other sisters.
Thomas Jefferson, and in the close of my book, the soliloquy of Thomas Jefferson was fully aware of what the impact of the long-term impact of enslavement would be on white people and black people, and everybody in between that were confused. He talked about the horror associated with slave masters did, and that their children imitated the behavior among their friends and younger children that were enslaved, and that built into a sickness on the part of Europeans and a hatred and antipathy on the part of Africans. And his greatest fear is that it would end in extermination of one or the other race. He says, because God cannot side with us, meaning Europeans, in this contest. He cannot side with us, which means God will side with them. And it is only his hope. He says, indeed, I tremble for my country when I consider that God is just and that his justice cannot sleep forever. So Thomas Jefferson not only knew at the time the wrongness associated, but recognized the long-term impact that it would have. Clearly, these are his words. I'm not making this up. But again, it somehow gets absent of the curriculum. Somehow it gets removed, and we talk about all the other things that he was able to expound upon. And I think that if we're talking about healing, if we're talking about a response, we have to look and understand historically how the injury transmitted itself, what it looks like then, now, and then contrast that with Africa.
How can there be any healing if you don't get the right medicine?
First of all, here's how it's got to start. It's got to start with unearthing the truth.
He must learn to be tough if he's going to make it. If it's an environment that requires him to hustle, then he's got to learn how to hustle. And he's got to learn how to... And yet, after he learns all of these things, they're going to become a part of his personality. And in ways they're going to help him, and in ways they're going to stand against him. And therefore, if I create the environment, I can, to a good extent, create the individual. And therefore, the people in power will read this statement, and they will go back to their planning boards and say, how can I create the environment such that black people will be dumb? They will be ignorant. They will hate themselves. They will lack disunity in their relationships one with the other. They will see me as the final validator of truth. They will see my acceptance as the ultimate acceptance. How can I create in them that mentality? And you will see them then creating the appropriate environment. The invasion of this community by Asians and other ethnic groups is a part of the creation of the mentality and personality of black people. It's going to create your children out here. As they walk down these blocks, their personality is being formed as they learn to so-called cope and deal with this situation out here. And to the extent that we sit back and let it happen, to that extent, we're participating also in their creation. It goes on to say, for social learning theorists, behavior is the result of a continuous interaction between personal and environmental variables. Environmental conditions shape behavior through learning. A person's behavior, in turn, shapes the environment. It's a reciprocal relationship. We create the environment and we create a behavior, orientation. And then the person with the behavioral orientation recreates his environment. You put him in a slum, and then he develops slummy behavior. And then once he develops slummy behavior, he will make slums wherever he goes. And then we will say that he's a slummy person by nature.
Okay, hood stands for hustle, obey, or die. No matter where you go throughout the diaspora, young people identify themselves where they live. I live in the hood. You ever notice in the songs they will call out their area codes? They say, I ride and die for my block. That's a lie. That's foolish thinking. When the majority of our people are renting property, you don't even own the property. You ride and die for it. When you say hood, hood is also the prefix to the term hoodlum. Hoodlum means gangster. Hip-hop or subculture hip-hop, not all hip-hop is bad. Subculture hip-hop promotes the gangster, the criminalization, right? And so it's not a mistake that the so-called hood or criminal kills the neighbor. So we should say we live in a neighborhood, we live in a community. And the word community is the term's common unity. But we're so disenfranchised, so discombobulated. We say we live in the hood. So I say hood stands for hustle, obey, or die. Say it backwards, die obeying the hustle. You can't win or lose.
I grieve today over the death of my mother because she died of a disease that was unnecessary. People don't even die of it anymore, called pellagra. Pellagra is a diet deficiency. All she had to do to cure herself is to eat. Now, as a kid, 7 and 8, or less than that, I noticed my mother serving everybody, making sure everybody got it. You got a little more, you got a little more. And she, what's left in the pot, she'll take that and she'd never sit down. I did not know she was killing herself. And I go to the hospital and stinking wooden Jim Crow hospital. I hate hospitals to this day. She asked for a drink of water. I tried to get it for her. And a white nurse told me, boy, you don't work here. She'll get water when I say so. She was boss of the black nurses who wouldn't give her a drink of water. Do you think I will forgive the society that killed my mother? Then how can I be asked to give, and how can I expect South Africans who suffered more to forgive? Let's be real. All of this talk about African liberation, all the libations and the ceremony, it don't mean nothing unless you are willing to work for the liberation of African people. That to work for the liberation of African people, you've got to be serious. You've got to be able to face the truth.
Because that's what it is. It's a con game. They've used that same strategy throughout history. They've devastated and literally wiped other non-white people off the planet through interracial sex. And they're doing the same thing today. So that's really why the book came about as a separate book.
What do you see, like specifically, that makes you conclude that this is the single most divisive issue between black males and black females, the bedroom immigration?
Well, one thing is very lopsided. Black women in general, I think, do less of it. Black women in general, perhaps for a multitude of reasons. But the one thing I would always give people this example, and that is try to imagine And I like to use these two groups as examples because I think it's relevant for today. Try to imagine the Israelis and the Palestinians in a vicious war, which they are right now. Palestinian people getting the worst of it. Palestinian children dying, the villages being bombed, their economies, there is no real economy, just suffering. And then the women and children are there, and they're suffering. The men are getting killed in the war. And so the women and children overwhelmingly are having to fend for themselves. And then walk into the village, the men with Israeli women, in the midst of the bloodshed, in the midst of the chaos and the turmoil and pain, to bring these Israeli women home and tell the Palestinian women to accept it. Now, in my mind, if I laid that premise out to anybody, every response that I've gotten has been, "Oh, that's messed up." Yeah, so we can see that when it's somebody else. But we're in the midst of a war right now. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this is just on black men, but I'm just giving an illustration of how it appears to me from my point of view. And what I'm saying is, how can you not breed hostility? And not just that, black men, again, will look at black women doing whatever it is we do, and then, we are sleeping with white men. So the black man, in my understanding, based on what I've been told by black men, they look at the white man and you're sleeping with the enemy. Now, the white male is devastating black men, shooting them down like dogs, won't hire them, all this stuff. And then I show up with a white man. So I'm just saying that, or say the Palestinian woman. These Palestinian men are out there on the line fighting, and the Palestinian woman says, "I don't care about the war. I just want to have some sex." And this Israeli guy looks good. What I'm saying is it's divisive. And in the midst of that war, the Palestinian people are hungry, they're cold, they're hurting, but they understand that it's a war, and they understand that that's part of what's happening. But the personal thing, bringing in the relationship and the bedroom thing, is a whole nother element of betrayal.
From under white domination. The worst idea ever conceived that has been implemented is wicked white world terror domination. That's the worst idea that anyone ever thought of and implemented. The greatest idea thought of but not yet implemented is black liberation from the white domination.
All of us as black people.
All right, welcome everyone. CRWS Radio. I just played those clips not because we're going to discuss them, just to get everyone's thoughts going about discussing the problem and sharing our experiences with racism, white supremacy. So we have a few new folks that I'd like to get introduced. We're going to start with our check-ins, and for your check-ins, you can just share whatever is on your mind, introduce yourself. I'll start and I'll popcorn someone. I am 0526. What's on my mind? The broadcast. I'm really looking forward to the discussion we're going to have about the problem. And I really hope the clips I played got people to think about some things. I hope they were inspirational and also maybe even eye-opening. But I'll popcorn Ricardo Vega. If you're listening.
Sorry, say that again?
We're doing check-ins. So you share like an introduction, what's in your mind. Nothing too serious.
Well, my name is, I go by Ricky. And what's on my mind is it's, it's crazy how we are in the 21st century, and yet now there is more light being shone on the injustices that are taking place, but yet there's still technically nothing really changing. Whether they might portray it as like, oh, there's changes that are occurring, but at the end of the day, like if we look at it, or at least how I've seen in all of my positions that have been at work, or like the main individuals that have been in power and that have the power are predominantly white males. So it's like, how have we been improving, and how has this country been changing? It's like, for instance, the firefighter organization, they're predominantly all white males. There's maybe like one or two diverse of individuals that are from other ethnicities, but like the majority, like I'm just estimating, I might not be right, but I want to say at least more than 70% are Caucasian. And those are just my thoughts. So thank you for allowing me to share that.
I can go next. My name is Kwaku Jamal. For my check-in today, I had a constructive day today at work, working from home. Over the past couple of days, I have been really getting down to the nitty-gritty about racism, white supremacy, asking more questions. It's been rough, but it's always going to be rough. So I will pick Heirloom to go next.
Hi everyone, it's Heirloom. My check-in today is that I'm just maintaining, still learning. I'm really excited for this session in general, because I feel like in the book club we learn a lot, but it's gonna be nice to just have a space where everyone can just decompress, because I know like we've just been learning a lot of information and how it's been affecting our lives and our relationships and things like that. So I'm really like excited to talk and interested in what everyone has to say in general. And then I have someone else here who's gonna check in.
Hi, my name is Z, and today it's been constructive, and yeah, I'm excited.
And I'll pass it to Tanya Smith.
Hi, how y'all doing? My concern is tonight basically is the genocide of the black man, and why is people rushing to get the vaccine when they don't even know what's in it? That's my concern right now.
The people who haven't gone, can you go?
Hi, this is CJ. I'm excited to hear of everybody's perspective and what they're going through. But I've just been reading and researching and studying all week, so I'm just excited to be here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kwaku. Want to thank Ricky for coming out and everybody else for being here. The thing on my mind is, well, racism's always on my mind. Racism, white supremacy, and how to counter it. I am trying to, develop new ways to get more counter-racist content out, to, counter the racist content that is out. And I definitely still have a lot of questions. Still learning every day. Um, that's what's on my mind.
Alrighty, thanks for sharing, everyone. Make sure. All right, so today we're going to be discussing racism, white supremacy, in the context of our lives. How has it affected us? If you are not a white person, if you're not a white person, I suspect you to be a victim of racism, white supremacy. Unless you can function as a white person, there are people who can function as white people. They have sometimes been called Latinos or Hispanics or some so-called Asians. But when you have color in your skin, I suspect you to be a victim of racism, and I suspect you to be under domination by the people who practice racism in these 9 areas, which are 9 of them. And I myself am also under domination of these 9 areas by the white supremacists, racist man, racist woman collectively. So I suspect us all to be able to talk about these 9 areas: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war/counter war. So I'm sure we all have experiences in all of these 9 areas. The first one, economics, being our time and energy, often confused with money. Getting us started, I'll share a short experience about myself revolving economics, time, and energy. Before I discovered a problem, which is the race problem, racism, white supremacy. Race is racism. The only reason to call people various racist is to practice racism. And I believe there's only one race on the planet, the white race. So prior to my discovery of the race problem, I spent a lot of my time and energy doing nothing that constructive. I spent a lot of time playing video games, watching TV, just not being constructive, to be short. Even when I discovered that Black people experience a lot of trauma, I thought I would work to solve that problem. But then I realized the problem isn't just trauma. The trauma comes from white supremacy. So now that I'm understanding the problem, I try to spend a lot of my time like countering the problem, learning about it through reading, lectures, and doing things like this where I'm able to hear experiences from other victims. So I'll leave it there and give space for other people to speak up on any of the 9 areas I mentioned, discussing one of them in order.
I can go. Personally, for me, like, this is heirloom again. Economics has been like the area of activity that has been affecting me the most, just because it's like, I guess it's frustrating to live in a society where I feel like everyone is just scrambling and trying to find a hustle and trying to find a way just to get the bare minimum of living. And it's like we're constantly like trying to sell ourselves or find a way to make money. So it's like, for me, like, I think I spend more time out of my day thinking about if I have money, how to get money, how to keep my money or not spend too much money. And I can't even like for me, I don't even want to like relax, because I'm like, right now I feel like I'm just wasting time because I need to like find a way to have stability because I also like am a parent or attempting parent. So it's just like that's been something that I've been thinking about a lot is like, and like I feel like everyone that I know, at least like our age, is in this, or like our age, I mean like in like the millennial type generation, is just like trying to scramble to find some way just to be able to pay their bills and pay their rent. And a lot of people are like I was, and a lot of other people are just stuck in really horrible situations just because they really can't afford to leave. And that's something that I've been thinking about. It's something that's been frustrating me. And it just sucks to live in a society where you know that, well, to live under white supremacy, and you know that if it really could happen, you really could just be without a home. You know what I mean? Or like without sustenance. So it's unfortunate that it's like that's a constant thoughts that I have to have.
Yeah.
I would like to share something, you know, that's been happening to me or I've been witnessing. I'm not sure what area of people activity this falls under, but I suspect it to fall under entertainment. And, you know, kind of the need to be entertained. Something recently happened to me at work where we were discussing issues, the issue, you know, specifically pertaining to air quality. And, you know, how can we solve this issue of air quality? We got together on a committee. Many people were attending. Some were presidents, some were, you know, assistants. And we got together trying to, you know, come up with ways to solve this problem. One way was, let's have a summit so that we can come together and, you know, distribute some information, some resources. So as we're brainstorming ideas for this summit, one person happens to be a president of I don't know if I should say the name of the organization. One person happens to be, you know, an affiliate of the NAACP. So they made a suggestion that at this summit, you know, about this serious issue, that maybe we should bring in entertainers, you know, to sing, to dance, to recite poetry. You know, and it seems like every time we are trying to solve a serious issue, non-white people, black people, have a tendency to act silly and to bring up silly suggestions. I have, you know, no idea why, when we're discussing something so serious like air quality, why anybody would need to be entertained, right? But I guess when under the system of racism and white supremacy, non-white people, in order to absorb any kind of information, need to be entertained to do it. Something that, you know, it's just an observation I made, and I've been seeing, I've kind of been dealing with. The constant need to be entertained. So that's what I wanted to share. I'm not sure what area of people activity that falls under, but I believe it to be entertainment.
Yeah, I think that's like covers like entertainment, economics, and people relations. So area 6, 2, 1.
Yeah, and it is also. The last comment is also interesting because, you know, there's people of many, you know, non-white people and white people in there, but it had to be, you know, the black person to say it, to suggest something like that was so silly. Yeah, that's it for me for now.
Yeah, I think the need, or like the need to be entertained, has turned into like an addiction in our society, and it's pretty scary to watch, especially the next generation of children. I'm very concerned for their ability to even like function without any sort of technology, entertainment, etc. Like I see kids literally like just
on
walking,
their tablet.
like just to walk down the street to go to a store, and it's just really scary. Like, and I feel like they even like, like even in school, kids always has to be like, oh, but how are we gonna make the curriculum fun for the kids? And so it perpetuates this idea that like everything has to be fun for you to gain something from it, and people literally like all of our attention spans are getting so short.
Yeah, there's definitely social engineering. It's definitely racist men, racist woman, just making us dumb. I think as may have been mentioned in the clips, but technology is making us stupid. That's just how the system is able to continue. We need stupid, silly people in order for racism, white supremacy to be on planet Earth. And I also think they're preparing, engineering the populace for robots. TV already has taken in a huge role in raising the child. The cell phone is also fulfilling a huge role in raising the child. A tablet is also going to be raising children now. And eventually it's going to be AI and robots raising children, which is just going to be another form of your child being raised by a racist man, racist woman. Speaking of education, do anyone has any
Wait, I wanted to add to that. That's super interesting because I can actually very much see AIs like raising kids and having algorithms for different kids' personality types, and like literally parents would just have to plug in like how they want to discipline the kid and like outsource all that labor to an AI. That's something that could happen.
Yeah, the Urugu teaches us that white people, racist man, racist woman, the racist suspects, they use technology to dominate and control religion and the technology. A very powerful technology, which is why it was able to disable a whole continent known as Africa. And still to this day, they are in poor shape due to race and white supremacy, religion. Does anyone have any experiences, racist experiences with their time and energy, with their economics? Me personally, growing up, what they call poor, I think I was very much experienced mistreatment in that area of economics due to not having adequate money to be so-called comfortable growing up all the time, and having to when tragedies happen in my family, like my house burning down, not having enough money to get that stuff fixed, or not having the proper insurance to get it taken care of. So all these things are just forms of mistreatment due to the system of white supremacy. Just a few examples.
Yeah. Growing up, I feel that I was definitely encouraged to use my time and energy for unconstructive, things and activities such as skateboarding, playing video games. My mom, or my attempted mother, was telling me that growing up she would always try to encourage me to see racism or do these constructive activities. But now knowing how the system of racism and white supremacy works, I understand that giving her that pushback was the system at work. The system doesn't want me to take an interest in things like computer engineering and the sciences. Racism and white supremacy wants me to be a superstar athlete. Racism, white supremacy wants me to be a diamond wearing, gold chain swinging rapper. You know, all things which serve absolutely no constructive value in getting rid of it and solving this problem. So I think there's definitely a concentrated effort by the system of racism and white supremacy to encourage non-white people to engage in such unconstructive uses of their time and energy.
Agree, and well said.
You know what? Oh, sorry. And you know what's crazy now is that at least when you were a child, when all of the like horrible, like the idea of like I'm gonna be a sports star, etc. Even that, like that was at least a skill. You know what I mean? Like learning how to play sports. Nowadays, kids want to be YouTubers. Like what skill is even in that? You know what I mean? So it's like every generation, the bar for like what they want to be just gets lower and lower.
Yeah, I feel like the bar just gets more silly and non-constructive. Just like no. Unfortunately, we have been trained against our best interests, which is understanding. Hey, there's a war happening. Like, no, I'm sorry, there's not a war happening. White people have decided to wage a war against all people they classify as not white, especially black people. So we just were born into this mess, and we have to sort it out, unfortunately. So we're not born in a system that teaches us, hey, I'm waging a war against you, and B, what can you do about it? We're trained to want to be, like what Kwaku said, sports players, athletes, and entertainers, people who want attention or people who want to show off. That's how non-white people have been trained under the system. If you don't believe me, look around. It's not hard to see a bunch of non-white people trying to show off or trying to get attention. I once used to show off my video game skills. We show off whatever we can. And that's how we're trained in the system. Spend 16 hours learning how to do a fighting game combo just to show it off to all my nerdy friends. And this is just how we're trained. And the first step of like changing this behavior and countering this behavior so we can replace the system of white supremacy is being honest with our niggerly trained behaviors. Has no one been affected in this area of economics, time, and energy besides 3 people?
I'd like to comment. Thinking back to, I'll take it a little bit further, past like childhood, kind of growing up in high school, kind of understanding, thinking you understand how the world works, you kind of gain some thought of like what racism is, right? So, me myself, I went to college and stuff, and a lot of my friends or my associates went to college also, and to us, or to me at least, that was me trying to rise above it all, I guess you could say. And now fast forward, most of us have college degrees and well-paying jobs, and the definition of racism didn't really change, but now we have resources, we have knowledge, but we still get together and still act like silly children. Nothing has really changed apart from how we were in high school. We still get together and just spend our time unconstructively, waste our time and energy not doing anything, but we have progressed in the world, I guess you can say, getting degrees and even having resources to actually try and attempt to do something constructive, right? But that doesn't matter, and I fear, or I feel like most people, it's the same way, because we're all just stuck in this system, and a lot of us are still very unaware of how it works. We grew up, went out, gained these degrees because that's what's rising above and gaining all these resources, but we have done absolutely nothing. Nothing has changed. I think it's very crazy to see how racism works to do that. Racism, white supremacy works to do that. It's I don't know if I'm speaking for myself, but a lot of times, you get to a different place, but the mindset stays the same. And I think for me, that was just kind of realizing that, our time was has always been unconstructive. We never done anything important with our time. So it is very clear to see how racism and white supremacy has kept a lot of people like my associates and myself in this constant loop where we're just spending our time unconstructively. And it's almost like sometimes if you really don't analyze and see the problem that's happening, you just continue to just be an airhead, like you say, just loopy, completely comfortable in, contributing to your demise.
Thanks for sharing, Quaker Drummo.
I wanted to share. This is CJ. I know growing up with my survival unit, especially my brothers, when I was younger, I used to always see them get arrested for each other. And I used to always think that they was always getting themselves into trouble, and why they couldn't stay out of trouble. And eventually, when I got older, because my brother used to always say, "Oh, my job fired me, or they don't want me anymore," like they're racist. Because he was the type to not groom himself for a job. He kind of wanted to have a job accept him how he looked and how he was. And I used to always think, if you lose all these jobs, like, it might not be them, it might be you. But as I got older, I just started to realize how this system is just not meant for specifically Black men as people of color to not make it, to struggle and to work harder. Because as I was younger, I used to always think, well, why do we have to work as hard? And it seemed like these people have it, white people have it easier. But it just made me realize that we do have to work harder, and Black men have to work harder. Things is not going to be as easy. You're not going to get it as a white man should, because it's made and designed for a white man to make it under this system. But that was the struggles and battles that I had to deal with, to understand that even when my brother got arrested, he was on probation, they will do like little sweeps at our house from time to time. And I used to ask the police, well, don't you need a arrest warrant? Like, don't you need to have a paper to come up in here? And they was like, no. But I just felt like you felt like I was stupid, I didn't know any better, to take advantage of me and say, no, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. For me, I didn't even know how to approach that situation. I kind of let it ride, because the second time they came with their guns drawn, So it's just the point that you feel hopeless under this system, because there's only so much that you can do.
thanks for sharing, CJ. That's Ricky. Did you want to say something?
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I agree with CJ because, especially, it's like I just believe that no matter how many support there is from Caucasian individuals, they will never feel what a person of color feels because they haven't truly faced the inequality that regardless if because the color of our skin, whether it's black, brown, or any other color that's not white, will always be seen as unequal. And it's unfortunate because it's just like an incident that just happened like probably a couple months ago. My dad was going to Arizona and he got a flat tire and he went into one of the like the medians, like on because there's only like two lanes, and then there was a lot of traffic on the right lane, and then so he got into the left one where you can turn into the other side of the freeway just to check his tire. And the cop, of course, he didn't speak Spanish because he was Caucasian, and he gave him a ticket for not having insurance, which technically the insurance you could look up. I mean, it's like these law enforcement are not even, they know what they're doing. They're just out there to do the complete opposite, that they get paid whatever they take from our taxes to do. So he got a ticket for not having an insurance in the car, which their car had insurance, which was thrown out in court. And then he got a ticket for turning to the other side of the freeway, which he's seen the cop, and he said he was trying to communicate with the cop, but the language barrier didn't help. And then he said, I seen you. I didn't turn this way because I wanted to turn this way. My exit was actually the way I was going, but I just, I pulled over because I wanted, I did it for my safety. And so he ended up paying that ticket, and the officer, it's crazy how the justice system is so against every person that's not Caucasian or white. It's like, there was this, to continue with my story, like the judge, because it was through by phone now, the court date. So my dad went, and it was all through phone, and so he threw out the insurance one because I sent him a copy and I sent him an email. I sent the email saying with proof and everything, and then the cop supposedly said that my dad was going 75, and then so I was just guiding my dad. So ask the officer if he's seen you when you pulled over, or did he see you already when you were already stationed there? Because the cop said that he seen him going 75 miles per hour, but he was stopped. Like my dad was already stopped before when the officer seen him. So he asked him that question, and of course, the officer didn't know how to answer it because he thought my dad was, not literate enough to answer it. Because, unfortunately, there's a lot of resources that are not, that, some individuals of color that are not of color don't have. So it's like, and then the only thing that officer did for lying is just a slap on the wrist. And it's like, really? Like, so you're over here trying to give an individual a hard time over, he pulled over for safety, for his own safety, and the cop just gets like oh, it's all right, you lied to the judge. But if it was like someone of color, oh yeah, they would have made it a big deal, like, why are you lying under oath or some BS like that, which I don't think it's ever going to change, because like I said, the individuals in power are still the white males or a white person.
Ricky, what race have you been classified as?
Well, as Hispanic.
Okay. Is that what you put on a paper when you have to sign things?
Yes, because there's no other, there's no, like, they don't have a category. They just have white, American, and I think it's Native American, and then other. So when you click on other, then it takes you either to Hispanic or Latino. which is like ridiculous, but that's how it is.
I totally understand your thinking. I would just suggest, see, the world is currently operating on a racist code, a racist logic. It's a total mind force, mind field, energy field system, logic system that is a racist one. So to say something like it's never gonna change, it's feeding that system. So we're practicing, the people in this group are attempting to practice a counter-racist code. And in that code is something called zeroism thinking, which is saying things that imply that the system is going to be here forever. Racist men and racist women want the system to be here forever. But we have discovered that there's more black and non-white people than there are white people. And we have concluded that if in effective numbers, enough victims of racism attempt to solve this problem, we can either solve the problem or all die attempting to do so, because it's much better than being a slave. Because currently, under the system of white supremacy, every non-white person is a slave. And I'd rather die than be a slave. So just a suggestion.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and thank you for that suggestion. That I agree with that, because that is true. Because if, like, you know, if, like, for instance, for this counter-racism book club, if it wasn't started, then individuals like us and others, you know, wouldn't have the free space to share this. And if we do nothing, then nothing does change. So thank you for that.
No problem at all.
I would like to say something what Kwaku Dromo had mentioned earlier about the education system. Hi everyone, I'm Ray. And one of the things that was interesting that was said is that we go and get these degrees, and before we even go to college or, you know, college, higher education, we go through the lower education system, which we are almost forced to go through, because if you're not in school, you're kind of in trouble. So getting there, it's like we're producing, I always equate education with, like, education equals money. That's how they perpetuate, that's how they say it to us. Like, oh, if you could go to school, you get more money. Oh, if you get a higher degree, you'll get more money. Oh, the more education you have, the more money you'll get. But just thinking about that is just like, that is not true at all. And obviously, like, I'm in my master's now, so it's like I've been through these different stages and I can see it in the forefront. Like, this doesn't equate to money, but it also, one of the things that it equates to is the perpetuation of white supremacy, because you're getting all of these students going into whatever fields they are in college or in lower education, but they're learning about the white man's history, and then they're going into the world perpetuating the white man's history. And to me, it's like, this system, education system, literally is there to manipulate, to kind of control the mind. And it doesn't do justice to the point where, like, if you go to college, doesn't mean you're going to be a better human. Doesn't mean you're going to be more constructive. It just means you have a degree stating, like, hey, I know more information about the white man's history and the white man's blah, blah, blah than someone else, which also is subjective. But it's definitely interesting too, because even now when I'm going through this system, I am doing research in the hopes to produce justice. So I think that is where, like, I'm at. I kind of just wanted to state that. It's like, when we are pursuing education, is to keep in mind what the purpose is, because it's very important that you keep in mind that, because going to get an education to get more money is just signing up to side with the white man. So if you are going through this system in order to produce justice and show behaviors and actions that do so, then that's your way of attempting. But I think it's important that we all try to attempt, especially in whoever's in education, to produce justice, especially non-white individuals.
Yeah, I completely agree, Ray. And I really liked your point about, like, we literally start off lower education with the idea that the more educated you are, the more money you get. And it totally feeds into this whole society where literally children are seeing themselves as products that have to sell themselves to get a job to be able to live. And we don't see education or learning just because, like, hey, you can learn something and gain knowledge for it, and it makes you a better person, or it makes you able to produce a better world or to produce justice. Like, people don't want that anymore, or I don't even know if like, for non-white people, an education is like obedience training, and it shows you, hey, this is how obedient you are. And like, I've experienced, like, I don't know if you guys have heard of like Montessori schools, where a lot of white kids go into those schools, and those schools are so different. Like, when you're in those schools, first of all, like, they tell these kids, like, oh, like, you're gonna be a leader that's gonna change the world. Like, they don't say you're gonna be a lawyer that makes money, or you're gonna be a doctor that can live. Like, they just say, like, you're gonna write something that's gonna change the world. And they let these kids run around, paint on the walls, like, and there's no structure, and there's like all of this freedom for these white kids to be able to just like feel like, I don't know, like, feel what they want to do and their purpose. And when you think about what school is like for non-white people, it's literally just learning how to be obedient. And the older, or like your college degree as a non-white person is like, hey, I'm a Negro that can sit in a room and can listen to instructions and can follow them, you know? And so I think that, like, it's important for all of us, if we have children in our, like, just around us in general, to be truthful about what the education system is.
Yeah, it's Ray Heirloom, very, very valid, and real. Everything that you said has been mentioned by Amos and Wilson, Dr. Amos and Wilson, and he says that education makes, for white people, is to keep the system going, is to keep racist man and racist woman in ultimate power and control, and is to keep non-white, especially black people, and just make them dumb. Like, you get super educated, you're able to execute racist logic at a high degree, which is self-destructive to black people and your own self, if you care about your so-called people that look like you. So I think it's really epic that you guys mentioned that. I know in school, for me, education area 2, I was just a monster, a monstrosity in middle school. I'm sure elementary, but in elementary school, I was thrown across the classroom by a racist white teacher when I was in first grade, and that's a racist attack. So that's a racist experience right there. And but my behavior, I was definitely trained still to be just a black male who did not care about school. You know, school was a place where I would just go and have fun, you know, joke around, you know, just truly be Frankenstein's monster that racist man, racist woman have set up for me to be.
I definitely saw. Go ahead.
Speaking of school, I think that's where kids grow fear as well. I mean, I feel like I was the type of kid that couldn't say how they feel, or just was scared to speak up, and eventually I became a kid that just didn't ask for help at all. You know, I got terrorized by a white teacher, and the terrorizing he gave me made me feel like it was just no point of asking for help or seeking help.
And that's really great example of pure evil racist logic, because the code counter-racist logic says the people who need the help the most should get the most help, and always ask for help, always be willing to give constructive help. But in a system of injustice, in a system of hell and vileness and evilness which we are currently in, a black child, I believe first grader, Miss CJ, cannot even ask for constructive help in elementary school. And I got a chair thrown at me for laughing in first grade by the same teacher. So this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with real racist men, racist women. The cartoons you watch with all the evil characters who wanted to take over the world, they exist. It's the white people, if you haven't realized that yet.
I wanted to add, for me, I've come to understand, education, that, specifically elementary school, high school, lower education, as, the modern day concentration camp. I see a lot of non-white kids going there to be trained to act white, to achieve whiteness. I work at a school district in, a predominantly non-white area. I was getting trained to administer these racist tests, and they, showed us the population of the school. The school was about 45% Latino, 38% Black, about 6% white, 2% Asian. Yeah, every time, everybody that I'm working with, everybody that, whenever I need my timesheet signed, the people in the office, they are all white. I, might come across one Latino female, one woman that would be classified as Hispanic or Latino, but non-white female, and various non-white people being showcased, but very few. For the most part, everybody in some position of power and a higher position was white. Now I've heard it all before. I've heard tons of this stuff, right? That white people are running the schools of non-white people. They don't. How can you teach somebody when you can't even relate to them? And that was, evidence for me. I never really, I wouldn't say I didn't believe it, but that was the evidence that I finally needed, and it proved it. So I see these schools as concentration camps where the teachers are, training those kids, those non-white children, to become monsters, and then they let them go at lunchtime recess to go and wreak havoc on each other. And yeah, so I just wanted to add that bit.
Yes, it should be like, for any person who dives into the race problem, especially the race problem in area 2 education, they will discover that it's the white woman who has a large role in the poor education that Black children, and social workers as well. I remember I was doing a study at a middle school I attended, where everything that Kwaku just said was true. When the bell would ring, me and all the other non-white kids would go out and fight each other and name call each other and terrorize each other. I'm pretty sure we were terrorizing the females as well. And I was doing a study at that school, and a white teacher told me that it feels like these students are terrorizing me. And this is before I knew. This is when I was confused about the system. I didn't even know to call it white supremacy. I just thought it was a trauma thing. But I was like, these people, all these kids are traumatized, but you're the one being terrorized. But now that I understand white supremacy, it's just such a interesting comment, because the racist logic will project, it's actually the students, every black, non-white child in a so-called school is being terrorized by being brainwashed, being fed poison that tells them to hate themselves, that tells them that they were nothing but slaves, and that every black person who tried to help them was killed by white people. So this is not so-called education. This is a, like Q said, concentration camp, where destructiveness is concentrated.
Yes, I was working as a substitute, and I believe I was being terrorized by those children, through absolutely no fault of their own, right? That's just how the system works. But I can definitely say, that these children were acting like monsters. I don't. I used to think, that these kids were, just act a little bit better, be a little bit nicer, treat each other with some respect, but it's not that easy, right? The system has trained these kids to act like monsters, so much so that they systematically keep other non-white people from, coming into those classrooms and, having a relationship with those kids, to a relationship where they can actually learn something. Because what is the racist woman going to do with those children? Set them up to go to prison, get them out of school, make sure that they don't receive a proper education. So I've seen it and I've experienced it. I obviously, knowing how the system of racism and white supremacy works, I don't blame those children. I blame the system for creating that.
Well said.
Thank you, Q. One of the things I would like to just hear your thoughts on as we are recording this is that as we decompress, what are some things that you all have done in your independent lives to counter racism? So in other words, like what constructive, I don't want to say habits, but maybe routines or things that you continue to try to do in your lives to counter racism, because we know that time and energy is very important, especially when we are surrounded by racism, white supremacy every day, whether it's a place of work, whether it's a place we reside in, whether it's just walking outside of our doors. So what are ways that you all do in your lives to attempt to counter racism with your time and energy?
Well, I could go first. I've definitely come to understand racism as, warfare. Every day I leave my house, not even every day I leave my house, even when I'm at my house, I'm under attack, right? I can turn on my TV and see some very racist stuff going on the television. I can be walking through the store and see, interracial images or images of, non-white suffering and, white people living their happy lives. So for me, I try to limit my engagement with that kind of media by, maybe not watching so much television, watching more lectures, listening to more counter-racist content, watching more counter-racist content. Reading books definitely has helped me a lot. If I can stress one thing at all, it's that non-white people need to read more, because racism, the answer to ending racism isn't going to come from, HBO Max. You're not going to get it from from watching Euphoria or Insecure. Insecure is not gonna tell you how to deal with your life. Right? Reading books on scholars who have studied this problem, that know what this problem is, and are developing strategies to counter the problem. Those are the only kind of resources that are going to help you, and that will provide you with some clarity. So that's just some of the things that I make a part of my routine to do every day. I guess you can call it. I've codified those.
And for me, it's just the mere fact that I have a counter-racist code, or I'm attempting to create and maintain a counter-racist code. But the best thing I've done is just to try to be truthful and how I exist, because the system of white supremacy is maintained through deceit and confusion. And that's what happens when there's no truth in the universe, where no one's being so-called real. Everyone's putting up a so-called front. So I just try to be truthful. So when people ask me how I'm doing, I don't say I'm doing fine or I'm good. I say I'm maintaining. But now I'm going to start saying I'm under attack. Because that is how I'm doing. I'm under attack 24/7 by system of white supremacy. And my only reaction is to distract myself and find comfort, as much comfort as possible, in dealing with the problem, or to try to counter the problem 24/7 as the problem was trying to destroy me 24/7. So now I actually care about my existence, my well-being, because I was trained to be a person who did not have apathy. I didn't care about people, and I didn't really care about myself. I didn't care if I died. I kind of lived recklessly. I lived like a white person, basically. Did dangerous so-called drugs. Did drugs with white people. That's just a good segue, because I want to talk about education again, and how in so-called college, another good example of how it makes you dumb, is because I didn't start doing drugs until white people were happening to me in the college I attended. So that's another good example of how college makes you dumb, and how that's a racist attack on white people who know black people shouldn't be given drugs are giving them drugs. A racist attack in the education area.
Okay. I'm not a concept, Joel. I'm just a fucking
I would say for me,
I'm not perfect.
I can't say anything that I don't like about you.
I try to talk about it with everyone that in my life, and if there is an issue going on in their life, I always try to bring it back to do you know what's happening because of racism, white supremacy, and it's getting to the point where people in my life are telling me that they're tired of talking about racism, white supremacy, or that I'm a downer, or that I'm too so-called negative, and I need to look on the bright side. And it's very frustrating, but that's what I see to be doing right now. I also agree with 0526, being around white people will teach you a lot of self-negating behavior that you as a non-white person cannot really be taking a part of, because the consequences are a lot worse for you. As you can tell by the whole opioid addiction, white people are actually getting medical help and support for that, versus non-white people who obviously had issues with when they were flooding South Central and Harlem with drugs. No one seemed to see that as a medical issue. So I think that it's really important to not engage in self-negating behavior around white people, because I was also introduced to those things from being around them.
I just touch on education. I think I relate to 0526. You know, for me, college was probably, you know, the biggest like aggression and extension of racism, white supremacy. I feel like definitely in college, I think one thing to definitely always remember is that, you know, white supremacists allow us to have things. Everything that we basically have we are allowed to have. They let us have. So, you know, at one point, you know, non-white people, especially black people, were not allowed in colleges, you know, especially with white people, but now we are allowed in there. So to me, you know, decoding as, I decode that as, you know, just another way for them to maintain and refine racism, white supremacy. And it's very, very obvious with the kind of culture that is associated with college. You know, we have, you know, sexual abuse. Like, that is probably like a epidemic, pandemic, whichever one, you know. And it's almost so normalized that, you know, we have victims walking around and are just so numb to it all at this point. The education system, you know, college is a big one, but it starts all the way from the moment you preschool, you know, daycare. So I think definitely one thing to always, you know, remember, and just to be able to like decode, is to always remember that, you know, most of the things you have, you know, white supremacy allowed you to have it. You know, it's not like oh, you know, we worked so hard and we finally got here. No, it's never been that. They let us have it, you know, and for obvious reasons. So always be very suspicious. We have to be very suspicious on that kind of stuff, you know. And education and college, you know, even though, you know, knowledge is you know, power, some sort of power, not really, but, you know, wealth. It's very, just be very wary, man. Seriously. We always have to think about what we're allowed to have.
Thank you, Q Dromo. One of the things too I would love to add to that is that although, like, I mean, yes, like, white supremacy gives us X, Y, and Z, but I think another thing to mention as well is the importance of how we use X, Y, and Z that has been given to us in order to produce justice. Because I believe, like, we can use government funds that possibly have given to us because we're poor or whatever requirement that was needed to give the funds. Maybe it's a grant or whatever it is that was given from white supremacy or white people in general. It depends on, like, it's important to think about, like, how we're going to use whatever is given to us to produce justice. And I think that's where I'm at in my life right now. It's like, whatever I'm given, whatever's thrown my way, I just want to produce justice. So I'm looking through that lens. So I'm taking, like, right now my college experience and turning it in to however I want to manipulate it unapologetically without fear. Because possibly I might get to the end, y'all, and my article is just an article, you know, it will be published, but I might not be able to get into a PhD program or whatever because of the topic. But it's just it's honestly a risk I'm taking right now, and I'm willing to take, because that's the only way I see justice is happening, is taking risk and being able to stay firm of, like, hey, I'm doing this to produce justice, and period, and that's it. So thank you, Q Dromo, for bringing that up. That was awesome.
Yeah, I kind of sidetracked from answering the question a little bit. Spreading truth, like, me not being afraid to, like what Ray just said, you know, spread the truth and everything that I do. And it has been quite the experience. It's a good time talking about Area 6, people relations, or called politics. We're starting this this journey to counter racism, to attempt to produce justice, balance between people on planet Earth. Prior to this journey, I had a lot of associates, and like every, like, thing that it's said to happen when you learn about racism has happened to me from like your family members, so-called family members, victim units, like not wanting to talk to you anymore because all you do is talk about the problem or try to get them to better themselves and stop killing themselves. And all your so-called associates who only wanted to hang out with you when you were participating in destructive behaviors like drugs or brain trashing yourself through television or movies or music or whatever non-constructive things we came up with doing. So once I started stopped inviting people to come over and do drugs and started inviting people to come over and read books and talk about books and solving problems, I lost all of my associates, and it was huge examples of just how really serious we black people are about not serious things, and just there's definitely more I wanted to mention, but I'll pause there for a bit.
There's one thing that I think that in like schools not is that like really not like is that my teacher, whenever he would like tell me something or try and do like a talk, he would always say you'll be better at learning when you're in college. And I don't like how he says that because it's like he's trying to like plan our future or something. And like I'm always thinking like what if I'm not gonna go to college? And that's what I don't know.
That's a great point to bring up, Z. That's just one of the ways, as I mentioned earlier, this like underlining push for education because they know it just makes what do I want to say? I can't remember what it was said earlier, but it just literally makes those who believe like, oh, I'm smarter, but it's only a way to just get you looped again into racism and white supremacy, basically into the system. So it's their job to encourage you to continue up this route because they know if they can get you to go through college, they know that they almost got you or they fully got you. Because you're gonna learn.
Totally.
No, sorry, because you're gonna learn. Because when you get to college, you have to start researching, and then when you start researching, you're literally researching the white man's history again. So it's like you're really refining that system, like that brain that they rewired. They're like, oh, I got you. Let me just cross that. Was it cross the T's, dot the I's at this point?
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like one thing I was gonna like one thing that you made me think of is that the whole like not just what we learn but how we learn it, like the way you have to like write an essay, have a point, defend your thesis and things like that. That's totally such a white way of thinking and gaining knowledge. It's this idea of that like you can only have one perspective and you have to defend that. Whereas like I would feel a more African-centered one. Yeah, everything is standardized. Like you have to write it a specific type of way. You have to have everything. I mean, I get it because it's standardized so that it's easier to read through. But also it's like, it turns everything into like you having to persuade someone, convince someone, instead of like you having multiple opinions in one essay that may even contradict each other, because that's actually how humans think, right? Humans are much more complex than just, I have a point, I'm going to defend it with this way. And then it makes us become that way whenever we talk with each other. Like that's how we are now. We just argue, defending our point, which is like what we learned in school, instead of like being more holistic about understanding things. You know what I mean? That's what I was going to say. I forgot what else I was going to say because I was kind of rambling about that. But oh yeah, and just that like
college teaches you, like what Z was saying, literally just one path in life. And I remember being in college at one point and being like, okay, like, because my mom used to always say that you go to college and you get a good job and then you get a good life. And I'm like, but if everyone goes to college and gets a good life, who's going to be serving your food when you go to McDonald's or something? You know what I mean? Like, not everyone, at some point, the quota is going to be filled, and then everyone else is just going to college and getting into debt. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Z said something really important. She said that college is going to teach her how to think more and think better. I think something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you say something like that?
Yeah, I did.
And I'm like, why aren't the kids being taught how to think well, think really, really constructively at a young age? Why must they wait to go to college to be taught how to think better? I believe that children have the capacity to think vastly. But understanding racism and white supremacy, you will understand how the social engineering must take place, which is why that teacher would say something like that.
Well, I never went to like a traditional college because by the time my sister graduated college, I couldn't afford it and my parents couldn't afford me to go to a traditional college. So I went to a vocational college to learn this skill. But you guys, I feel like I probably wouldn't even made it through college if I had went, because I can never really focus in class, and I don't like to learn things that I feel like is basically I'm probably not going to use or just not going to learn from, but I just decided to go to school for something that I liked and that I was focused on and that I was willing to do to actually take the next step to do something about it. But all y'all college experience make me feel kind of glad that I didn't get the traditional experience. I feel like I wanted to, have that variety of meeting new people and, different countries, different languages, but I got that experience through high school. So it just makes me feel like that the way of learning, it always seemed like when you were in school that you always have to debate your point. You're always in a battle and you're always debating someone down instead of actually trying to listen and actually try to get the point to educate yourself. And I think people don't listen anymore. They just want to prove their point and debate it.
We were best friends. I mean, I knew everything about this girl. I knew her favorite color. I knew her favorite food.
Yep, that's racist logic. It's not about learning or creating something or improving something. It's about winning an argument or dominating an argument. You also have as I said earlier, in schools, white children are trained how to keep the system going and their place in it, and black children are taught how to be under it. So it's no surprise that you were not just no black student is a good student. I would, in the sense that they're trying to produce justice because they're not given that avenue whatsoever.
I wanted to talk about black people. This has to do with education, but black people having to do things that they don't want to do or feel right about doing. When Tanya came on, she talked about the vaccine, and that's interesting at the time, but at work
now I'm putting on we're planning for an event where, and they're not going to say it, but I think it encourages Black people to get the vaccine. I give absolutely no thoughts about that. I don't encourage Black people to go seek out the vaccine to get it, because while the atrocities that have been happening regarding, like the relationship Black people have with, medicine in this country. So the whole thing makes me very uncomfortable. And honestly, it feels like a racist attack. And I don't know how to deal with that. I wanted to add that.
I want to bring up like special education, which is a racist experiment against Black children. When I got to a white school, it was called Paul Revere Middle School. As soon as I got to that racist institution, I was placed in remedial classes just because I was Black, because I've always been quite intelligent. But I get put in this class with only non-white people and with this racist teacher, and we just it was just so boring, and we're just reading like stuff that 3-year-olds should be able to read for like hours, and then it was just very torturous. But I was very confused. I didn't know what was happening. Besides, my time was being wasted. So another example of just how we're just totally trashed throughout the system.
Special education is to undermine the children to think that they can't do better or they don't know better. So special education is just a whole nother program to put people of color under a system of they need dependence. They don't know better. I know they tried to, when my sister was younger, they tried to put her in special education not because she was not smart, but because she was too quiet and she kept to herself. And it got to a point where she had to fight to get out of special education and to get AP classes. So she had to do a lot of tests, do an essay, etc., etc. She even got into a debate with her math teacher because they always tried to undermine her intelligence, and the type of person my sister was, she didn't fall for that. So eventually they took her out. I think she did it for like a year. They took her out and they put her in all AP classes. But I'm glad that she graduated honor rolls, but the point is they always try to undermine people of color.
Yep, for sure. That's to be expected 24/7.
Special ed is also another area that I've, been in. I used to work with kids with autism, and I also would work as a sub. So sometimes I would sub in the special ed classes. I forget what they call them. They abbreviate them as SDC, which I think stood for like special day camp or something.
Yeah,
kind of like even no intentions. That just tells me no intentions of educating these children. They just kind of come in here for like daycare, and some of the kids, some of them might need the special attention, which which there's nothing wrong with. Whereas others are there because they realize how that there's a system and it's working against them, you know, and they maybe didn't know how to deal with it, you know. So a lot of these kids, there's nothing, you know, nothing intellectually wrong with them, right? They just don't like their teachers. They don't like how their teachers talk to them. They don't like how their teachers interact with them. And, you know, the environment doesn't help much either, right? Because schools are honestly need to be abolished. They're such a toxic place for people. And, you know, some of these kids, they just maybe couldn't handle the pressure, which once again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a very terrible, toxic place to be. So I definitely see that there's no intention of actually educating these children. They'd rather, you know, make them believe that they have an impairment and that they can never overcome that. You know, basically creating throwaway people.
Yeah, it's very true. Like the whole idea about throwaway people, school to prison pipelines, and it's I agree.
Yeah, I feel like schools should really fall into the law and the war areas, especially for Black people, because Black children are like tossed around by race soldiers, thrown across classrooms by race soldiers, handcuffed by race soldiers. Actually, I remember when I was in middle school, I got punched in the nose by this Black kid, and this person had a bloody nose, but it turns out like the substitute teacher or whatever happened to be some kind of cop person, so she handcuffed him, and he got handcuffs, and I didn't think that was necessary, but racism, white supremacy, and I remember in high school, someone called the cops on me and like 3 other white kids. And like an army of cops came, like helicopters came. It was like, but I was the only person who got handcuffs because I was the only Black kid there. And I got handcuffs by race soldiers, but they were so-called Latino, Hispanics, or whatever. So just some awesome, powerful forces. And I also think it falls under the war because, you know, war is terror. Racism is terrorism, and you know, you only expect to see, you know, doors blown down, you know, children, women tied up and murdered and just treated really poorly in war scenarios, like the stuff we read in the books, you know, like low intensity warfare, Vietnam. But that stuff happens every day in these schools, and it happens every day in the so-called neighborhoods that Black people have to live in, the projects and the ghettos, also concentration camps. And why? Racism. I grew up in a concentration camp known as South Central, and it's a real tragic place, to say the least.
I don't mean to like veer off topic, but something that I've been struggling with too is just like, well, I mean, I would say like things here are just really, really bad, and there's so much injustice and white supremacy here. And I would say like around the world, it's just like the more you learn, it gets like really overwhelming and almost like isolating, because it's really hard to be around people and they're like talking about superficial stuff, and you're like for instance, you know, I don't want to be like that type of person, but it's like I'll be around a family member and they're doing all of this like excessive like shopping when they have so much, and I'm like, do you ever wonder who is producing these clothes, the type of conditions these clothes are produced in? And now I just learned today that like the fashion industry is the second like greatest influence or cause of like climate change, and that's just like crazy to me, but it makes sense because all of the dyes and fibers and things that people buy for their clothes, they get like, they're not biodegradable, and they just are constantly like polluting the earth. And even when you donate your clothes, it doesn't actually get donated. Most of it gets like shipped overseas again. And so it's like this constant cycle of just like people buying so much. Like there's just like people here have so much stuff and are consumed by all of this stuff and never just stop and think like, what are the resources that made this? Are these resources finite? If so, when are they going to be used up? How are these things even produced? Like, and it's just really sad how alienated we are from the production of things, because then it just makes people not care and want to throw things away. And like I feel like I bring up kids a lot, but like I think it's even gonna be worse in the next generation, because kids are growing up watching these like toy haul videos where like other kids are buying all of these toys and like trying them out and like doing product reviews for toys. Like kids watch these things throughout the day, and I'm just like, this is so like, if you thought that our generation was materialistic and didn't care, like the next generation is going to be so much worse and just does not even care about, you know, the rest of the world. Like, yeah, the consequences of this type of behavior. Yeah, everyone is just so obsessed with themselves, individualistic.
Yep, that's that ego, that white ego that has been spread to the entire planet. And white supremacy does a massive job at producing material goods. This is why there's so much useless trinkets being spread across the planet. And totally right. I was addicted to video game trinkets and entertainment and that sorts of things. But I did a really good job at avoiding the sneaker craze and like wanting all the cool gear, which a lot of people, a lot of victims of racism, unfortunately can avoid.
Yeah, I remember being like a kid and in like elementary school and already having other kids be like, why do you wear the same shoes every day? And I didn't even think about it. I was like their shoes. I didn't know you have to wear other shoes and things like that. Like, and it's just sad to think that someone at 10 is already that materialistic.
You didn't want to share anything from the area of religion?
Oh, I'm off work now. I was just listening to you guys. You guys cover a lot of things. But I wanted to say something about religion. I wonder why a lot of people, well, I know why, because I studied the Bible. I've been studying the Bible like my whole life. And people, well, because of the system, I believe, well, I know what it is. It's because of the way the government is, the system is. They didn't want us to know our true heritage, which is right in the book. But a lot of people most people, because of the conditioning and what they did to our people, will be quick to tell you what that the Bible is written by these people and that people, but they don't read it for themselves. They haven't studied for themselves, but they're quick. But the churches are in on the government conditioning. The church has been in on it the whole time, because if they wasn't in on it, then they would get their churches burned down, and they would actually lose their. It's a business. So they only can say a certain percent of the Bible. They cannot really tell the black man who they really are according to the Bible. They can never really do that, because the people, you have to see for yourself, and that's what the book is about. You have to study, or either hear it or study. That's the whole point about it. But they made it to where they forced what they wanted to and switched everything around. They switched the roles of the Bible. They switched the roles, and so nowadays a lot of our people, as far as meaning like black people, are they're quick to tell you, that book is written by the white man. But did you guys know that everybody mostly in the Bible, the good people are our people, and that is our history book? That's all I wanted to say right now.
Thanks for sharing, Miss Tanya. Bible. I see the Bible as I mentioned earlier, religion being a technology, Christianity, Catholicism. Yes, all once upon a time originated from black people, but the Bible is like a hand grenade. You read it and your mind explodes. It has served black people in absolutely zero ways. If black people weren't spiritual people, the Bible would be useless. But because black people, spiritual access was stolen and was replaced with the Bible, this is why they are so attached to it and try to defend it or believe it has some sort of use to them. Yeah, it has a bunch of messages and lessons that can be learned from it, but in terms of solving the problem or replacing the system of white supremacy with justice and balance between people, the Bible has done massive amounts of damage against that goal. So as I said, the Bible is a hand grenade. You read it and your mind explodes, because it becomes it's not a lot constructive for black people to be spreading any religion unless it's going to defeat white supremacy. And I've realized that the most powerful religion on planet Earth is white supremacy. And it's really interesting because I was talking to my old Sunday school teacher, and he has some knowledge. I don't know if he's aware about white supremacy, but he told me that he would be nicer to my younger brother because he was darker skinned, because he thought, well, he's the darkest one, he probably already gets it from the world, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because he never expressed that to us. He never tried to teach us about like the system, but here we are learning about a Bible. I think it's much more important to learn about the system of white supremacy than to learn about Noah or whatever they teach you in the Bible. I fortunately have been able to cleanse myself of a lot of religious programming, which is necessary to solve this problem.
Right. Okay, that's true. Okay, and that's the point. The point I'm making is, the point that I'm really trying to make is that the Bible, the white people are basically the powers that shouldn't be. I'm gonna say the powers that shouldn't be because it's not just white people; it's the ones that work with them too. Okay, they know that that's our book, and they know that the answer is in the book. But the problem is, most people won't study that book for real. Even ministers won't study that book. It's not for everybody to study. They will not sit there and study that book. I've been studying that book for years. That's how I know that the book, everything that's going on right now with this vaccine and everything about the world, and how it's gonna get destroyed, which is by black people. We're gonna be the ones that's gonna we're gonna take them into captivity. It's getting ready to happen. Okay, that's written in the Bible. That's why I love the Bible, because what's getting ready to happen. That's why, because we're gonna win. We are the first and the last. We are the Alpha and the Omega. Okay, we are his children, and he is a black man, and that's in the book of Revelation 1 and 14 and 15. And black with afro. Okay, so like nobody can never take that, because they won't tell us that. They go by pictures. They do anything to stray us away from who we really are. They'll put pictures up of a white man or whatever, white people and all that stuff. But in the Bible, it don't say that. It's totally different, because that's how you know people don't read. They just go to church, and it's like a feel good, like a doctor. Where they go to church to hear the pastor, and they never pick that Bible up, and if they do, it's only like a couple of verses. These are the verses everybody knows in the whole world. They go to church. They've been going to church for like 20 years. A lot of them.
I don't believe studying the Bible has brought you closer to solving the problem of racism, has it?
Okay, let's get on that. Okay, yes, because the Bible will tell you. The Bible, yes. Wait, hold up. I gotta get you the scriptures. Okay, let's go to the scriptures. Okay, the scriptures will tell you how we got in this position and how we're going to get out of this position. They came together.
We're reading we're reading other books that have shown us how this problem was created. I want to know, how is the Bible going to help us get out of the problem? What is the Bible telling us we can do right now to help us solve the problem?
Get out of this system. Leave Babylon. We got to leave this place.
How?
We cannot. We got to get out of their system. Their system is getting ready. It's basically already getting took down. The Most High God is taking their system down. But what they trying to do is they trying to take us with them, because they know their time is up. If you really check white people out, especially the older ones, they want to die. A lot of them want to die. I've seen younger ones want to die. I've never seen nothing like this. You know, they just want to die because they know that their world is over. It's never going to go back. It's never, ever going to go back. Because that's in the Bible, and they know the Bible is true. Their world is... So what they trying to do now is make everybody get marked, okay, with the mark of the beast, and which is that vaccine. That vaccine, if they look it up, is 666, the code. What is it called? When you get something patented, the number is 666, okay, which is in the Bible, in the book of Revelation. It's tell you about the mark of the beast. They've been telling us this since we was little kids, okay. It's in effect right now. People are rushing to get that vaccine, and they don't even know what's in it. And what it is in it, they think it's some kind of liquid. It's not a liquid. It's a device that's so small. It's two of them. The first one, they give it to them in their arm, and they think it's in their arm, but it swims. It's a little device that swims up to their brain, and when it swims up to their brain, it latches on and it starts growing, and they become. I know y'all into it already. I know y'all study, okay, because y'all smart as heck. Transhumanism. That's what it is. Transhumanism. So basically, that little thing that they putting in that little shot is turning them into that one is, they basically dead. That second one, after that first one swims to their brain and it latches on and it starts and it reads all their thoughts. Okay, after that, they already possessed. Okay, the second shot is the shot that's the tracking device. Basically, the first one is to read all their thoughts, and the second one is the final one. It's both of them. The first one is already too late. They already put the mark. That's it.
I have to speak on that. What she is saying is true. It starts with us, and in the Bible it ends with us is per se, but it's kind of hard to go by the Bible now because everybody, especially churches, want you to get the James version written by a white man, and it's so many versions of the Bible that you won't have the original form of it due to the system hiding it. But in the Bible, it does say that it what all we're going through, basically the system that we're in is going to be demolished. Just don't. I just specifically because I don't really read it through. I don't know how.
Yeah, that is.
Well, I just
Yeah, I think the answer of what they say is gonna happen, or whoever, like a bunch of white people, first of all, came together and wrote the Bible, and the actual African history that the Bible is related to can be found if you research the works of Henry E. Clark, Joseph Ben, if you really want to know what the Bible is actually about. But currently, the Bible as is a giant piece of propaganda. And yes, there may be a story in there, a fairy tale in there that suggests how an A-B system is going to end. But it's not going to end with a bunch of black people going to church, jumping up and down, saying hallelujah. It's going to end when black people are serious about solving the problem of white supremacy, not trying to spend their life decoding a Bible, not spending their life trying to get a person to believe in Jesus to forgive their sins. It's not how we're going to solve the problem. This is how the problem has remained on planet Earth for so long, because many black people have spent too much time on the things I just mentioned, arguing about Jesus being black, or talking about he had curly hair.
Sounds good to me.
If you understand racism and white supremacy, you should know that Jesus was black. He was killed by white Romans a couple of thousand years ago, and that should make you want to solve the problem and not convince people that Jesus should be worshipped or anything of that sort. And I've seen my entire family just spend all their time believing in the religion of white supremacy, which is what Christianity is, and expecting those prayers to help them with their problems. And I never seen it help solve any problems personally.
Yeah, for me, I feel like it also sets you up to not actually try to solve the problem, because you're in this mindset of something Babylon will end and we will be free, but you're not it's almost putting you in a passive state, because it's we have to save ourselves. And I mean, this is just from my understanding, because I also had I have a sibling who's very into the Bible and very into also trying to understand the end of times and stuff. And it's just it makes us all watchers, just waiting and praying that we're the chosen ones that are going to be freed from this Babylon. And I feel that to me is it personally sounds like white supremacy, because it just sounds very patriarchal, and this idea that God is supposed to choose and pick which one is righteous, and we have to just make sure that we're good enough for someone or the creator to be chosen and to be able to move on to a life that is better. That to me just seems you're not living your life in pursuing justice. You're living your life for an incentive to have a better life after this.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay, well, I agree. If you don't study the Bible for what I study it for, because it's only a few that really study the Bible for what I study it for, and that says that it's written in the Bible that you have to have understanding. A lot of these people that use the Bible, they use it for a gain, material gain, and they're called preachers, ministers, and all these people with these churches, these mega churches and all that. They use it for a prosperity thing, and it's a job. It's really a job or a business. It's not for what it's really for. And it was always a like propaganda, used for propaganda. It's like taking something real but exploiting it. It's real. The Bible is real, but it wasn't the time. It wasn't the time. And I also believe they did put some stories in there, because by me studying, I could tell the difference between the real and the fake. I studied so long and so hard with that Bible for so many years. I can tell that they did put some things in there that it's kind of like, whoa, like that don't go with the it has to match up. Okay, if the Bible, if certain part, it has to be, the Bible is supposed to be precept upon precept, like something's supposed to match with it. It's supposed to all go together. Like the Old Testament, it seemed like the New Testament is when they put some other extra stuff in it. Okay, it's like the stories are like, okay, and this is my opinion, and I'm a real believer, but to me, I think they, with the story of Jesus, they put like, it's like a that's when they slid some stuff in, because but I believe it was really a man named, his name wasn't Jesus. I believe it was really a black man that came for good intentions, but that man that they got in that New Testament is not the real one. That's the false Messiah.
I think white supremacy is so powerful that we are supposed to be talking about religion, and I believe we're talking about the Bible, which is a tool of the Christian and Catholic religion. And this is not a debate, Miss Tanya. No one's trying to change your mind. We're just expressing logic and how this system works. And so we're not trying to change your mind.
No, nobody can't change my mind but God, because I go by experience. See, I'm not just reading, I go by real experience. I won't believe nothing that I just read. I have to really go by what I'm living it. That's the only way I believe it, is because I'm living it. I live the Bible. I know I eat it, breathe it, and live it, and nobody can tell me it was made by a white man. It was never made by a white man. They can never do nothing like that, ever. And the Bible tells you how they're going to be destroyed. They will never tell you how they're going to be destroyed. They will never tell you how they're going to destroy. How the Most High God, who's a black man, is going to destroy them. That's how I know they had no parts of it. They tried to.
Tell us how they're going to be destroyed, Miss Tanya, because I think that could help solve the problem if you know how they're going to be destroyed.
How they're going to be destroyed is by us.
But right now,
by talking about it, like how we talking, this is destroying them right now. But see, they don't want us to talk about it. That's why they're doing the social distance and all that. They know it's their time. They don't want us to talk. They don't want us to debate, which is healthy. They don't want us to do nothing like that. They want us to just take the mark of the beast and, it just, and everything. And they already know that their time is up. They know that. But they're like hopeful, wishful thinking, like wishful. They still hoping and like on that last thing, but they're already destroyed, basically.
The system of white supremacy is will be here forever because of.
No, it's not.
No, hold on, let me finish. Racist man and racist woman intend for the system to be here forever, unless we black people are able to end it, replace it with justice.
We are in.
How many black people do you know who are you trying to use that Bible, or use religion to replace white supremacy with justice? Can you answer the question with just in one sentence, please?
You said now what? What was the question again?
How many black people or non-white people do you know who are using the Bible to replace the system with white supremacy?
That's why we're still in slavery, because they're not using the Bible in the right way, and it wasn't the time. It has to be a certain amount of years. The 400 years just ended. It has to be. We had to be in slavery for 400, maybe a little more years. It said 400 at least years.
Okay, I believe Jesus Christ was trying to solve the problem. Like Jesus, whatever, he was trying to solve the problem. He was murdered about 2,000 years ago. So it's been much more longer than 400 years of black people being killed just for being black. So
no. The 4 years of us being in this slavery, we've been in slavery. This is not the first time we was in slavery. I'm talking about this time. This time that we've been in slavery has been 400 years. Yes, we have. This time, if you look it up, look the research up. When they first started stealing us, this time, remember we was in Africa. That's not what we was really from.
I don't think it's time. One more question.
Why do we have to suffer for this certain amount of years? Like, what kind of God is willing to have those type of atrocities that have existed for us to suffer?
A God that
I feel like they tell black people this so that we suffer and that we can just suffer and then hope for the best in the future, which is what black people have been doing for a long time, believing that, oh, we are just the people that are meant to suffer and then we're going to get our just desserts in the future. Like, why should all this has happened in the past 400 years?
Well, we wasn't meant to suffer until we started doing what the white man said to do. We was gonna be all right until God said destroy them, and we didn't. We left some of their babies. We always have too much heart for them. We keep letting them live and praising them and stuff. That's why we here. That's why we in their land, and this is not our land. And we in somewhere strange, and they got our land, and we don't even have no land. And everybody talking about they from here and they from there. And what we gonna say? We from America? Or we from somewhere else? Where's our land? Okay, because they got our land, and we over here. They done sold us all everywhere and separated our families and all this kind of stuff. Okay, and told us we was from Africa. Africa, they got all kinds of. There's so many parts of Africa. What do you mean, Africa? Like, they tried to confuse us so many ways, tell us we're African, but we're not those same people that be like eating doo-doo. Some Africans eat doo-doo. They eat feces. And we don't do that. We don't eat feces. That's not in our bloodline. We don't do that. That's not something that we do. You don't even have to taste to eat no doo-doo. But they do. Certain tribes are not our people just because they birth, period. They're not.
I'm super interested in where you got the information that the African people eat.
Some do.
As an African person, I think that is just steeped in white supremacy, because the people who would be eating poop are the white people who are existing in caves, don't have food or natural resources.
What are you, Nigerian?
No, I'm not Nigerian, but I am African.
But there's different types of Africans. There are different tribes. What tribe are you from?
Well, I'm just wondering where you got the information.
You're not a Hamite. Okay, look. Okay,
yeah, the whole children of Ham thing is steeped in white supremacy. It implies that black people are
they don't know who
cursed people, and we are not. We are not a cursed people.
Luke, can you finish what you were saying? Let's not talk over each other. But Miss Tanya, I believe what you mentioned about African, I believe that is that should be considered an antimatter of what this group is doing. That is, I'm certain to be totally incorrect behavior. I do not believe Africans are eating doo-doo anywhere on the planet unless a racist suspect is forcing them to do so, which they have notoriously been known to do to people on the globe, throughout the globe. But I don't think that's correct. I just understand the awesome forces of white supremacy want black people to look like filthy animals and behave as such. So let's remember.
All black people's not the same. all black people. I asked the question and I answered the question, but she didn't answer the question. What tribe are you from?
Actually don't have an affiliation with a tribe because white people came to my country and gave my country a name and took
what
away
name
my
did they give
tribal
you?
affiliation.
What name did they give you?
My country is the country that my ancestors are from is Ghana, which is the country that most Black Americans' ancestors are from.
Okay, ma'am, I hate to tell you, but you're not really. You wasn't really from Africa. I know by your spirit, you're not. You're the same thing like us. You're the same thing like us. Some of our people got left in Africa. Some of our people did not get stolen.
I'm wondering what is so wrong with Africa that you have to separate yourself from being there, or what do you think is so wrong about Africa?
I didn't say it was wrong. I said it's different tribes. That's all I said. It's Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and we're from Shem.
I'm wondering like what you think. Why you think I personally am not from there?
Because I could tell by your spirit. Period. You is not that. You is not them. You're not. We still got people in Africa. You're our people. Some of our people didn't get stolen. We're gonna be reuniting.
I think
reuniting.
Good example of.
Okay.
Let me say one thing. I think this is a very good example of how in the area of religion, especially involving Black people, it teaches Black people to not use logic. It disables Black people from using logic and thinking critically about what they're saying, because I don't believe a person should base one's entire awareness or information off religion only or religious text. One must study more than a religious text to really be aware of what's happening on planet Earth.
Right.
That's what
And that's what I study, tribes. And that's how I know her personality. She is not a Hamite. I study tribes and personalities.
What exactly is a Hamite? This is a group of people that
the Hamites are the ones that the Hamites are from. Oh, wait, I'll let you talk.
These are the group of people that are descent from Moses' son because his son saw him naked when he was in a bath, and these people are cursed for life because of that. That's the people that I'm not from. Do you think that these people really deserve to be cursed for life because of something like that? On top of the fact that I am a Hamite, if you want to call me that.
Well, I don't believe you're a Hamite, but you can claim that if you want. But the same thing you're doing is the thing that the Bible says. The wicked will not go unpunished. If they wicked, they wicked. Period. The white man and some of those Africans, those Hamites, they go together. The Hamites, they look dark, they look like us, but in the inside, they are not melanated at all. They just melanated on the outside. You have to be melanated on the inside too.
Okay, I feel like we may be getting away from the race problem. So, Miss Tanya, can you?
I don't think so, because they all help. They help the white man. They help the white man. Y'all don't care about that. Y'all not concerned about the flag that's helping the white man.
I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you, how has religion helped you defend yourself from white supremacy? How have you?
I'm not religious. I'm not into religion. Studying the Bible is, it doesn't say anything. The Bible doesn't. The King James, which is a Black man who was written in Scotland twice.
How has studying the Bible protected you or given you any tips and techniques to be safe and sustain yourself under white supremacy?
Oh, I could hear God's voice. He told me when they tried to kidnap me, when the white man tried to see that, because your auntie, what you don't know is I've been studying for years. Okay, so when I'm in school, I was attacked too, and I used to be in special programs. I heard how y'all was talking. What they do is the smart ones, they do the opposite. Because when I was in school, okay, they used to do the opposite. Okay, so if you smart, they switch it. Okay, so if you the smart one, they gonna pretend like you the dumb one. And this is what they do to Black people. Okay, so they gonna pretend like you the dumb one because you're really smart because they don't want because the whole system is made to train us to be a slave. That's and the Bible says that. Okay, for people that do study, if you really, really study, because see, it gives people migraines to really study. But I did that. I studied for years. But see, you got to get past that level. You got to get past that level and get past it. So you got to tear that Bible up, studying what's going on. You got to know what's so important about that Bible. What is it? What is it about that Bible? There's something about that Bible. But anyways, that's what they did. They put the ones that's smart. They switched it. They had to mentally keep you down. They couldn't let you rise up. And that's what the Bible says. They all got together. All the countries got together and put the 12 tribes of Israel in slavery. And the Negroes are the ones that's getting ready to rule, because that's in the book of Genesis 49 and 10. It says the Negroes are the tribe of Judah. We are the real Jews. Okay, we are kings and queens. We are going to rule with a scepter. You know, a scepter, a golden scepter. You know the scepter, what that is? We rulers. And they don't want us to know that. So when they see one of them smart, what they do is they switch it and then they put
I think you made that point, Miss. Quaku, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I just everything that's being said, I find it interesting. You know, I don't know where to start. I'm outside walking right now, but I don't know where to really start. I have a lot of questions still. I'd like to ask my own set of questions. You know, because this was somewhat confusing for me. But I seem to hear there being two different types of black people, and I understand the Bible to be, you know, used as a weapon against non-white people. That if you don't understand the Bible, right, is it meant to enslave you? But if you do understand the Bible, I don't know what you use it to enslave. So, I mean, there were some names thrown around, some tribes and some different kind of people, and this I just have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'm from the tribe of Judah. I want to mention all those classifications, all those names thrown around. Another good example of how white supremacy will create a bunch of names of groups of people, and then people will argue them and be like, "I'm this tribe, or I'm this tribe, or I'm that tribe." You know?
See, I could see how that, you know, can definitely be used like a white supremacist tool, right? To, you know, keep black people.
The white man would never ever tell you who you are. Never. I disagree. They would never tell you who you are. I disagree. They would tell you everything but a child of God.
This time, let Quaku finish his thought, please.
Okay, so you're saying that the system would never tell you you're a child, would let you say you're a child of God? Is that what you said? Can I be heard?
No, I read it. It's in the book of Genesis. I mean, it's in the book of Revelations, chapter 1, 14 and 15. Go to the King James Bible. King James is not a white man. He is a black man from the tribe of Judah who ruled Great Britain and Scotland twice in the early 1600s, right before we went into slavery this time.
I don't think any black man is ruling anywhere.
Okay, so
look it up. Look up Black King James before you call somebody a liar who's 53 years old and been studying since
Hold on. Hold on.
Wait, I'm
Hold
just
on.
confused. How, like,
Look it
I
up.
want
It's
to
what
finish
talks
my
about the liar
question.
that been studying all their life. Look
Wait,
it up.
I want to finish my question.
Are you a liar, miss? I just want to say no one used
That is saying I'm a liar. Because you didn't look it up. You just said I don't believe they're doing this. Okay, you don't
Sorry,
have
no,
to
that
look it
wasn't.
up.
That wasn't. You know.
Look it up though.
read
You know, people be
that
going all around. Look it up.
I believe King James is a racist suspect, miss, which is a white person. But
Never. King James will never be. He used to kill witches. He used to kill gay people and hang them at the stake and burn them.
Because he's a white man, miss, I believe.
No, ma'am. No, sir. A white man will never kill a witch. Come on, let's get y'all mind right. A white man will never kill a witch. They're witches. There's witchcraft. They doing witchcraft all day long. Y'all don't see it?
So you're saying that a white person would never kill a witch because white people are like witches?
Yes.
Okay.
Look up the definition of a witch and see what they do. They do the same thing. Pharmaceuticals are all that is witch.
Yeah.
Drugs they put out the street every day is witch. It's witchcraft.
Yeah, I also, somewhat feel the same way, but the Bible, should line up with history. Earlier you said
it does line up with history.
But earlier you said that there were. So you said that you feel that the Bible lines up with history.
Okay, what point are you making?
That you said earlier that there was something off with the Bible.
Yeah. And they did try to put their little stuff in it, but see, they would deceive the very elect if they could. Have you ever heard that scripture? But I'm the elect. I'm one of the ones that was studying, so I'm elected. Because the Bible says, study to show thyself approved. So I'm elected to study. I had to sacrifice my whole life and my children. My children had to sacrifice theirs, the things that we've been through in this system because of what we study. Oh, you don't go through that.
I had a question for Tanya. What do you classify as a witch? Somebody who takes natural things of the earth, uses spirituality, and creates something from it?
No, that's a witch I am then. I'm a witch. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, then wouldn't you have been burned at the stake by King James if you were so? Because I would consider myself to be a witch in some ways, and a lot of black people would be witches because. No, I'm saying
I'm not a witch, but you might call me a witch because I heal people. That's not what a witch is.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what is a witch.
In my point of view, because you can look the definition of a witch up. Even though they try to, these new dictionaries are different than the older ones. But
what's the definition? Because we use our own definitions.
Okay, well the definition of a witch is somebody that, from me studying witches and what the Bible says about witches are not good. They make people sick. They don't heal people. Witches don't heal people. Prophets and children of the righteous people heal people. Witches make people sick and kill and make people gay and turn people the opposite of what they're supposed to be. That's what a witch does. And they try to. Witches are manipulators and narcissists. Manipulators and narcissists.
This is white people.
Well, I didn't say white people right now. You did. I'm just describing a witch, and you said white people.
Okay, for me, they fit that description of what you're saying. I feel that
the white witches make people sick. They bring diseases. They enter everything the opposite of righteousness.
Yes.
And that's a witch.
And what is righteousness?
Righteousness is
just feeding yourself the right food. Ain't that right? Ain't that right? Like nutritious food, feeding yourself nutritious food. Ain't that righteous?
Following logic.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Talking to people, your brethren, your family, your friends, like they are humans instead of animals. Ain't that righteous?
Yes, it is.
No,
That's
Anybody should know what righteous is,
well, like that. Yeah,
but
that
they don't
that may
because it's not in them.
that may be logical, but I believe due to the system of white supremacy, righteous is meant to be white. It's meant to mean everything white is right.
But that's just that's the system. That's the power that shouldn't be the devil. That's the devil.
But it doesn't. A lot of white people, a lot of the religion of white supremacy says that which Christianity and Catholicism says that the devil is the black man.
I'm not a Christian or a Catholic. I'm a Hebrew Israelite, like it says in the Bible. I'm from the tribe of Judah. I'm a Negro. The white man named me a Negro and African. I ain't none of that.
What is a Hebrew Israelite?
I'm from the tribe of Judah. God has 12 tribes that he loves, and the rest just gonna listen. Because we about to rule this world, period.
Is that really a God that you would want to be around?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Praise him.
Hold on. I'm confused.
You should be happy. You should be happy. Can I ask you something? Who are you? Who is this talking to?
This is Aaron.
You should be praising him, girl, because he is destroying these people. They're dying of skin diseases. They're dying of they're what are them people called?
But he's also killing
they're reptilians, girl. They gotta go.
But he's also killing my people, right? Because my people are the Hamites. So
okay.
Why would I?
Why is he killing your? Okay, what is your people dying from?
You're saying that the people who are Hamites are also cursed because they're working with the white people.
Well, some of my people cursed too. Well, some of my people dying too.
Have you heard? I want to ask a question.
Well, I just want to follow some logic really quick because she said she's from the Hebrew Israelite tribe, and I believe
it's 12 tribes. I'm from the tribe of Judah.
Yeah. Okay, can you elaborate on that?
I believe Israel is located in the Middle East, which is located in North Africa, which would logically make
exactly. That's what it says in the Bible.
Which could logically make you from an African tribe, if that's
I'm African because we traveled so much. I became African because we ran into Africa. We fled into Africa trying to escape Roman persecution. And the reason why we were being persecuted, we had to get up out of Israel and out of Jerusalem. Really, we're from Jerusalem. Yeah, right. And Hebrew is called, our real language is Hebrew, Paleo-Hebrew, ancient Paleo-Hebrew, the first language ever made. The first language was not our language. It was called Phoenician. It's the Egyptians. They are the Hamites. They're the ones that had us in slavery the first time and dogged us out, and they look just like us. The point
I'm confused because the Egyptians were the ones who made Christianity.
I'm not Christian. I'm not a Christian.
Okay,
man.
well they were the
not a Christian. People. I don't believe in men having sex with men.
Okay, well they were the first people who wrote the beginnings of the Bible.
Who did?
Oh, the Egyptians.
Where did you get this from?
A book called Urugu by Dr. Marimba Ani.
Oh,
do you want me to go to the page?
Yeah, I already know where you're going. I've been there, studied that. Because I used to think I was Egyptian. No, we are not Egyptian. I am not an Egyptian. They had us in slavery. They dogged us out.
I'm not saying that I don't think that all black people are Egyptians at all. All I'm saying is that like the Bible comes from Egypt.
No, it doesn't.
Like there's a lot of documented proof of that.
I don't agree, but you can agree if you. I mean, you can think that if you want, but I can take you all the way back. It does not. It does not. Well, I don't know.
Do you think that there's anything that you could like?
They will never believe in a Bible like that. Never. They will never believe in a righteous Bible like that. That Bible is so righteous.
Do you think you could like in some way like maybe post something into the chat that has the actual origins of the Bible? Because I would be interested, because from what I've read,
the Egyptians never would have anything to do with that, ever. They believe in having sex with little boys in their butt. How in the hell? They would never believe anything righteous like that. Never. They would never. They believe in everything opposite of God. That's why they used to wear them crazy hairstyles, little piece right here. They was rebellious. Ain't a man supposed to look like that. Ain't nobody supposed to be cutting their hair like that. They was always rebellious. And people that run around naked is rebellious. Because in the beginning, God covered us up. So what were they doing running around naked? None of our people runs around naked, none of that.
Why do you think God covered us up? If he made us in his image?
Whatever the reasons was he covered us up for, he wanted us covered, and we were supposed to be wearing clothes. He wanted us. That's privateness for your husband and your wife, I guess. I don't know, but we ain't supposed to be running around here naked.
Do you think God doesn't like himself?
I don't know.
Miss Smith, does God hate black people? Is that why the system of white supremacy is here?
No, God only loves us. God only loves the 12 tribes.
Then why hasn't his Bible or any of his teachings helped us solve the problem yet?
Because they never tried to use it. Martin Luther King never used the Bible. Martin Luther King didn't use the Bible, or Rosa Parks, who I think is very suspicious. Those people are suspicious to me.
The religion of white supremacy is the most powerful religion. It kills logic in black people.
It does. I agree. But I'm not religious at all. I'm not a religion. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Catholic. I'm not none of that. I'm just a child of God. I'm a Hebrew Israelite.
So do you consider the Bible to be more like a spirituality?
Yeah, it's actually you about to see it come. If you start reading it, you're gonna see it coming to life in your face right now. Right now. The Bible is the biggest, the most popular book in the whole world, and it's the reason for it. And it ain't for the white man, because they about to be destroyed, demolished by black people.
Do you know in the proximity of like, do you think it'll be in our generation, the next generation?
Yes, I believe it's, yes, like the Bible said, I believe it's 3.5 years.
Wait, it's gonna happen in 3.5 years?
From the time that they declared this bullcrap.
So then what do you think black people should be doing?
I don't know how long it's gonna take, but I know that I believe this is gonna be 3.5. This system is not gonna ever fully be in effect. Never.
So what do you think black people should be doing in that time?
Basically trying to educate our people, to wake our people out of the craziness that they did to our people. Turn out they really killed our people. But the Bible said our people gonna be rising back up, but not all of them. A lot of our people, you're not gonna be able to save them. They're gonna be destroyed. 2/3 of our people will.
I feel that by learning about racism and white supremacy, that's
they're gonna be destroyed because they won't listen. They won't. They can't hear something. They already got the mark of the beast.
By waking up our people, having them realize about the system, right?
Right.
Okay.
That's how you kill them. That's how you kill them. The more you start telling people about that this system is evil, and they need to go back to our original ways. We have to get our original ways back. And it wasn't Egyptian, because they don't want God destroyed Egypt.
Do you know what those original ways are, or where you can find that kind of information?
The original ways are men ain't supposed to be having sex with men in they butt. The original ways is nothing like this system, period. This system is just demonic. It's nothing for human eyes, period. This is so traumatic. This right here is a nightmare. This is not nothing how we supposed to be living, period.
So are we supposed to go back to the way we were living, like in Africa before enslavement?
We ain't supposed to eat pigs. We ain't supposed to eat pork. We ain't supposed to eat shrimp. No kind of parasites. Because if you knew how precious you was to him, that's why we in slavery right now. Because we kept eating. That's like eating roaches. Would you want your kids eating roaches?
But do you think that a God that is really just would condemn multiple generations to slavery just for this?
My God is a
And why?
killer. My God
And
is
do
a
you
killer.
think that that's really a God that, like, I wouldn't even want a parent like that, right? Because as a parent, I want to be like, hey, you shouldn't be eating that, and not, I'm gonna condemn all generations after you because of your behavior. Don't you think that that's a little bit cruel?
Miss, you can answer the question now if you like. Don't you think it's cruel? Ezekiel, did you have a question too?
I somewhat feel like we are, speaking about the same thing, but just in like two different languages. If I could describe it, because it seems like what Miss Tanya says is true. If it is that she studied the Bible, that's something that the code says to do, is to study something. So she's using it how she says it's supposed to be used. I don't know. I like I said, I feel we were talking about the same thing, just two different languages. She calls it. She can agree that it's a system of racism, white supremacy. So I found this conversation interesting.
Yeah, I also find it a very interesting and telling conversation, to say the least.
I'd like to chime in. I did mention something earlier while he was on the mic, and it wasn't really deep talking with me at the time, but with that, I did gain a lot of insight, from this conversation, just listening. I think one thing was very clear to me, that I still have a lot of questions, and there are a lot of things that were pretty confusing to me, but that's bound to happen. I think at the end of the day, racism, white supremacy is it's simple, but it's very clever at the same time. And I think the goal should always be simple, to bring balance to all people and mistreatment of all people. And there's one thing that can really achieve that every day, tangibly, and actually set goal markers. And then there's other things that phenomenon is going to save us. Also feels like one of them definitely has zero unity, which will obviously continue the same problem that's going on now. I don't want to believe that that God believes that only certain people deserve His love. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, just definitely promote. For me, it's about promoting unity and trying to come together, being a universal man and universal woman. It doesn't.
Ain't gonna work. Women and men are different.
Can I finish?
One person.
Just one sec. Let me finish my thought so you can actually, get the whole idea. I do think, the goal is to become universal man, universal woman.
Okay.
And that anything that promotes against that, is definitely racism, white supremacy. And that's just keeping it very simple,
Well, I'm racist. Because racist means you love your people. I love my people.
No, Messiah racism is actually the global system of people who classify themselves as white, but abusing and mistreating and subjugating everyone.
Well, racist means you love your people.
No, no. Let me finish telling you our definition, and then you can tell us your definition. But our definition of racism is white people who have decided to abuse, subjugate, and mistreat everyone on planet Earth who they classify as not white, especially black people. So that's what racism. Because you can't be a racist with our definition because you have no power. You don't have the power to go out and hang a white person and chop their genitals off and burn them. You don't have the power to do that. But for dozens of years, for hundreds of years, they've had the power to do that to black people. So I don't think racism is loving your race. I think loving your race is loving your race. But black people also don't have a race because they have a race that means you're practicing racism, but you don't have any power because black people like myself don't have power.
Well, I want to push back on a little bit of what you said, O5, because a black person technically can hang and like be violent towards a white person. That's called immediate power.
Yeah, but
and not white people have that power. But I'm just saying like it's important to differentiate like power because
right.
That's all I was trying to say.
Well, I don't need no power to love my people. My people is the 12 tribes of Israel. And I wanted to know the guy that was talking. What are you like? What tribe is the white man give? Is it Mexican?
Are you talking to 0526 or Quaku Drummo?
The last one that was speaking.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
He classified as black. Classified as black.
Oh, okay.
I guess I get that a lot.
We black people, we have different tribes, and we all are not the same either.
Do you think
we have 12 tribes that God loves, and the Mexicans too, but they are really the original Mexicans, the darker ones. I don't know about that.
I see. So do you think that the lighter Mexicans, God doesn't love them, and they deserve cruelty?
It depends on who their father is. It's not about color. It's not about color. It's not about
color. How does God show his love? Like what are the mechanisms?
Not about color. I'm not going that light in my family. That's not it.
What are the mechanisms that God shows his love? How does he show?
It's about your heart. But first of all, it's about your heart because my people gonna be destroyed. But second of all, it's about God has special children that He loves. He made special children. Yes, He did. We are the apple of His eye.
I just think. Sorry, okay, just really quickly. I just think the flaw. It's no flaw, really, but I just think a just God would not kill anything. There's no cruelty. I don't think.
No, my God is.
There should ever be any sort of like killing or just
my God is a killer, and I'd be so glad when He killed all these reptilians.
I have a question. So, are there more than 12 tribes?
Yeah, there's more than 12 tribes, but not in His eyes.
So, how does God show love to? How does God show love to His creations?
Oh, you'll see. You should see already. Ain't you the best thing on earth?
No, miss, I am a slave and a victim under white supremacy.
I'm not talking about that part. I'm not talking about where you live and how you get in the position you got in. I'm talking about your genes, period.
My genes have been manipulated by white people. Man.
Ain't nothing better than you, and even if they've been manipulated, ain't nothing better than us, period.
But we're still captive.
We still, even if they fucked us up 25 times, 20 years, 25 million years, we still the best thing going.
But they
know that.
But they have all the power, and currently we can't even protect our.
They got the power because y'all don't be using the Bible. Y'all don't want to study. Y'all do it what they want y'all to do. Be scared of it. That's y'all power. That's y'all sword. Y'all need to be cutting heads off.
I don't
even have my tags to my car. Shit, I've been riding around and shit. Police, what? My God said this and that. What? You gotta use your authority. My God is black. Period.
Miss, it's definitely
No, it's time. Y'all just don't know. It's time. We out of slavery. We just still here.
I would just say, like, I would really advise to get plates or something, because you just want to minimize any contact with law enforcement in general.
Yes, true.
You know
That's
how
true.
they do it.
But I couldn't
for
do
your
it
safety.
because they tried to set me up. They tried to set me up, but I'm finna get them anyways. They tried to make it to where I had to pay $700. You know, they always trying something. But I don't care anymore. Because I don't care about them anymore. Because I have authority over them. Period. I'm just still in their country, but it's about to be destroyed. Period.
Miss, there's only one country. It's called a white nation, and that's the entire planet currently.
I know, but we about to destroy all this shit. Period.
But I don't see. I don't get invited
Just
to the
have patience. Y'all gonna see it. Y'all gonna see it. Just keep on going. Do your what
How
y'all
do we
y'all
go
doing
about
good. Just keep going and
destroying?
doing what you're doing.
How do we go? Sorry.
Just keep doing what you're doing and study. That's all I could tell you.
Okay, so
Study.
that's how we destroy the system.
Yes. Yep. By having a brain and by talking.
Okay.
That
Talking
helps.
about the system, right?
Yep. Bringing their ass down. Exposing them.
And
you gotta expose them. And if you got to be bold too, because God might come in your head and say, destroy that right there that's on the wall. Take that thing off there. They use witchcraft. I'm trying to tell y'all. Y'all gotta start getting their devices like I do and tearing that shit up. That's why they trying to put me in jail, throw me in jail. I don't give a damn. And I'm gonna get right back out because God blessed me to be alive. Period.
You said the devices.
Scared of what they do to you. You can't be scared of what they do to you because you're powerful. Like you can have
But
a
it's not
law.
really about being scared. I feel like you have to be at least like kind of maneuvered correctly to minimize confrontation and minimize being hurt by white people. Like going to jail, you're literally like in a space where you're controlled by white people with guns and stuff. You know what I mean?
But
So it's
look,
like important to maneuver in a way that
people
you don't.
scared of going to jail. I'm not. I don't care what they
Miss,
do.
I believe.
But like Sandra Bland and stuff, she died in prison. She died in jail
Because
after
she
being
didn't know
there
the
for like
real
2 days.
God. She didn't know the right God. She didn't know the real
So you
God.
think that God let someone hang her because she didn't know the real God?
Yeah, you don't know her. You don't know if she was a real being. Let me tell you what they do. Do you guys know this? What they do? Do you know about psychological operations?
Yes, we do. You know,
Okay, so you don't think that all these people that they showing that they killed and this shit is to scare people and to get you all in an uproar? Because a lot of that shit is an act. And I'm gonna tell you who got us in slavery. Hollywood. Hollywood is the reason why our people is really fucked up. Hollywood can make a movie about George Floyd.
try not to curse.
Which they did. George Floyd. It was a movie. And let me wake y'all up to that. Did y'all know that? That's for the movie. Y'all want to wake up to some real shit? George Floyd is a movie. And if y'all don't believe me, I'm gonna just start y'all up on a little bit of studying, and then y'all can go the rest by yourself with research. When it's a movie and you see a police car, let me just wake y'all up so y'all can see this. Here it is. Okay, when it's a movie and and you see a police car, it's supposed to say a real license plate number. On George Floyd, it said police. That was the first ringer bell. Ding ding ding. It was a movie. And then the second one was how y'all get it from all these angles like y'all did Rosa Parks. How y'all making a movie out this shit when it's supposed to be something going on? How the hell is the movie now? Y'all.
Okay, I had to mute you because we don't like to have a lot of cursing, no cursing on the air. But I am gonna say that I think white supremacy is so powerful that a black male was murdered and now a victim has perhaps maybe seen a lot of misinformation or a lot of videos, or perhaps even some kind of survival mechanism to not face the reality that black males are killed like George Floyd almost every single day throughout the globe. So I don't believe it was a movie. I believe it was reality. But I'll let you continue. But please refrain from cursing.
Sorry, I'm gonna blow a lot of people's mind. I go against the grain because I study for real, and God showed me stuff. We got a real relationship, like we're real cool, like he's a real man. He just ain't here on earth with us, but we got telepathy. We talk to each other, and he showed me it's a movie. Period. Y'all need to wake up if y'all can't see that's a movie, because the police, not only the license plate said police, like they think people dumb. Okay. Second of all, after the pandemic, how come they didn't have their masks on? If this movie wasn't pre-made, how come the mask wasn't on? Anybody coming out the stores in the background? Because he's supposed to be, I can't breathe. After the pandemic, where's the people with the masks on? That's another thing I'm gonna wake y'all up to. And I believe that girl was real. The girl that was crying and she came and she was filming it. I believe they staged it because they knew she was an activist, and they listened to her phone calls, and she some kind of way they knew that black girl was gonna go hysterical, and they used her. They did it right on time. So when she was walking by, they ain't nothing. These people are deep, like you said, white supremacy. It's way beyond. These are demons. These are straight demons. They've been doing this shit through Hollywood. They can turn me into a white man with makeup. Yep. They can turn me into an old white woman.
Where are you getting this information from?
You don't see how they turn people into.
I don't ask because I disbelieve you. I just want to know because this is an obvious.
Hollywood. They can turn you into anything you want to be. A Puerto Rican, whatever. They can make you look shorter than what you is. That technology is off the chain, and it's been here since I don't know when. They even have Blu-ray so many years ago. Blu-ray. Okay, you know about Blu-ray, right?
Wait,
they had that so many years ago.
I believe Pay Through Joe has something to say. Pay Through Your Mind.
Yes, well.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Going back to George Floyd. Are you saying that it was staged?
Yes, sir.
George Floyd didn't die?
Well, okay. Yes, sir. Exactly. It's the movie.
Okay, I see.
So you can be all upset over something instead of the real shit, because they is fucking our people up.
I mean, wouldn't you say though, regardless, saying something like that is?
But you can't say this to everybody because they're gonna want to whoop your ass.
True. You're not lying. We gotta, watch the language. But
and don't say Martin Luther King is fake either.
Wouldn't you say that
I think he is.
Seeing something like that though, as a black person, is pretty traumatizing?
They want to traumatize you. Did you see the one when that girl was in the freezer? Did you see that one when that black thick and juicy girl was in the freezer?
Yes,
that was a trauma too. Guess what God told me that was? A robot.
So what do you think that does to?
Are you talking about the incident that happened? I believe that was in Florida. That happened in Florida.
The girl that was in the freezer walking around until she died.
Yeah.
She wasn't even real. So untraumatize your eyes. Come on and get that, y'all.
I'm not. I'm very aware of.
Why would they fake these incidents?
To keep you in bondage, to fuck your head up, so you can get off the real. You can get off the subject. See, because if they can deceive the very elect, they will. They can deceive me. Not on that.
But
I'm tired of them deceiving me. I'm done with their deception.
The system is doing all of this.
Yes, sir. And they have more psychological operations ready for you. They got more psychological operations. Oh, what's his name? Donald Trump. He was one too. He's a good actor. He makes me sick. So acting so good.
Have you heard? So, if if something they're showing us stuff like this to put us in bondage, right? Me and you might know what's going on, correct? But what about, the other non-white people, especially black people? I see what's going on. What do you think that does to them?
A lot of them gonna die. 2/3 of our people is gonna die.
I mean, at this rate,
they already died.
at this rate, you
Yes,
might
they put drugs on the streets every day. Every day there's drugs on the streets. Who's doing it?
Very true. So, do you think that because the whole point of this is basically end racism, right? So by putting bondage or that type of traumatizing stuff out people, especially non-white people, especially black people, that obviously would not end racism, correct?
Well, see, racism.
Because me and you are just
because I know who you are. You're reptilian. So
racism.
I'm racist.
Me and you do not end race. Like we need.
No, the most high God is. He's a black man, and he's going to destroy all the reptilians. And everybody that helps him is going to get destroyed too. They're getting destroyed right now by taking that vaccine.
Okay, so it's really important. It's really important with the words we use. I've heard this word mentioned about 3 times now. I believe you're saying reptilians. What?
Reptilians are. I go by the Bible. Okay, okay, remember they was in the garden. Okay, there was this reptilian there. It wasn't a snake. It was a reptilian. There's a race. It's a race of people.
Are they white people?
Exactly. Some of them are different colors. They can change colors if they want. But it's usually them because they don't have no covering. Like there's no melanin in their skin and they're just exposed. It's easy to take over their body. It's not actually them. It's the what am I calling it? The deities that take over their body. It's easy to take over their body because their souls is corrupted. They have a lack of morals.
I have a quick question. So if this God is going to destroy everything or destroy
not everything.
People.
Everybody that think they ain't gonna worship him, that did some of his children. He said, prepare slaughter for what you did to my children. It said that in the Bible. Prepare slaughter.
Okay, so then prepare slaughter on everyone on the planet who doesn't.
No, all the ones that did wrong against God's children and didn't repent because they can't repent. Some can't repent.
Okay, so then my question is, so if that's happening, are we supposed to just stay here while racism and white supremacy exists?
Stay where?
Here.
I'm going back to Africa because the Bible says we got to go back the way we came. Don't tip. We got to get up out of here. We got to get up out of their places and all their systems and detach from it.
White supremacy is in Africa too.
Well, it's certain parts of Africa that they can't mess with. There's certain parts that's ready for us to come back, that's building up. Yeah, it's everywhere. It's all over the whole earth. But the point is, there's certain places that's preserved in the Bible that we have to go there. We have to go there.
So then, where exactly are those places?
4 corners of the earth. It's 4 corners of the 4 places of the earth that the ones that God tell a group of people, some groups of people is going to meet up there, and that's where we're going to meet up. The ones that got a brain, the ones that do what the Most High God say. If He say that, He said, we doing the right thing right now by talking about it, because that's what the Bible said. It said, lift up thy voice and spare not. We ain't supposed to spare nobody's feelings. None of that. You're supposed to just say the truth. Lift up your voice and tell the truth. Prepare slaughter. Also, they gotta prepare slaughter for what they did to God's children.
So the slaughter is for, you said, for the 2/3 of the
All the shit they
world.
dying from. All the stuff they dying from. We ain't gotta worry about nothing. Just look at them.
I see. Okay.
They deteriorating.
Do you see how? But do you see a possibility where white people could use the fact that black people are waiting for God to exact His judgment on white people as a way for black people to not have to try to end racism and white supremacy and not, take the steps to produce justice?
You gotta take the steps to produce justice, though. You got to.
But what is
faith without works is dead.
So then, what are the works?
The works is what we doing now, talking about it and debating and getting people involved and waking people up by telling them the truth.
I'm not debating.
Well, sometimes debating is healthy. We need that. They don't want us to. They want us to be scared to talk to each other and, this is giving me a headache. Religion and all this. No, we need to know what the hell they was doing to us and go all the way back and dig it on out and dig everything up. We need to dig everything up that they think they buried. Every book that we can find, all that. That's how we got to get up out of this. We got to get our stuff back from them. Some kind of a way. They doing witchcraft on our people. And they put it in the food. Oh, the the stuff they doing in the food. They ought to be, my God. I don't even know how we still alive.
I agree. Most of the food given to us by racist men and racist.
We don't know what they feeding us. Yeah. And they doing it on purpose. See, this is another thing when I said witchcraft. See, by us being fed by Chinese and different people from all these places, eating what they eat, we are as we don't know who we are because they want us to all think we're equal, but we're not equal. Okay, the ones, certain tribes don't supposed to eat certain stuff, and if you eat that, that's witchcraft because that's going against what your DNA is about, and that's why people's getting they messing up their DNA. But the white men know that. They know that. They know they can eat stuff that we not supposed to eat it because they are trash and we're not. Our system is totally different. They don't want us to know that part. Okay, so they can eat stuff and because they are not who we are. We eat it and we get punished because it's like your child. If your child eats something off the ground, you're gonna whoop their ass. You're gonna tell them they keep on doing it. You're gonna pop them. Okay, stop. First you're gonna say stop a couple times. And then you're gonna pop them on their hand. This is what God is doing to us. Okay, then
not condone violence against children. I just say that.
What? Well, I didn't hear you.
Oh no, that wasn't for you, miss.
No, I'm saying, if you see your child doing something, you're gonna warn them, then you're gonna might pop them, and then you're gonna have to give them a real whooping because they keep on doing it. They're gonna have to learn a lesson some kind of way. Stop. We're not supposed to eat certain stuff. That's why we get sugar diabetes, heart disease, things like that.
Don't you think don't you think a better way is to maybe tell the kid, hey, you shouldn't do that because it's going to hurt you, it's going to do this to you, and I care about you, so I'm going to make sure that you don't do this.
Like the Bible says? Tell me like how God is, because He's perfect.
The Bible is saying, right? The Bible is saying so you believe in saving the child by giving them the rod
Because that is what white people.
Because the rod don't have to be hidden.
That's
The
a white
rod doesn't have to be.
supremacist.
No, wait.
That's a white
The
supremacist
rod,
idea, right? Black people were not hitting their kids
well, the rod doesn't have.
until white people taught them how to do that from during slavery.
Okay, now look, the rod. That's what I agree with that, because the rod is not what people think it is. The rod is like just being stern with your words, being stern. That's the rod, and it just ended up with the white man. That's the way they do it. But we inherited their ways by being around them. We ain't supposed to be around them. They're a plague.
I don't.
We're not even supposed to be around them. Breathing the same air they breathe.
That may be very accurate. So yeah, religion. The religion of white supremacy, powerful, awesome force, kills logic, kills the soul.
Yeah, I believe religion kills everything, because I'm not a religion. I'm sure not Catholic, because they believe in pagan. They pagans, and they believe in they worship Mother Mary, and they believe in having sex with little boys in their butts. That's sure not my religion. Christianity believe in two men can be hit together, and they believe in eating pork and doing everything against God. I ain't that one either. None of them.
So why is the Bible attached to these religions?
Because they want to use it, because it's the best book of it going. Wouldn't you want to use the best thing going? But you only use certain stuff out of it, see? Because they're not going to tell you the truth. Because if you start talking the truth, well, now you can talk to all you want, because the time is over. But before this time came, before the new millennium came, which was the time, you couldn't talk like that. They would, if you really told the truth about the Bible, you'll be in prison. You'll be something happens, someone dead.
But all time that we currently know and like have knowledge of is controlled by white people. The whole idea of a millennium is a white.
But can somebody ask me? I want to know. Okay, I know y'all smart as heck. Okay, I'm just trying to figure this out. Do y'all know this part? Do y'all know why they are in control?
Because
why they are on top?
Because they thought of the system of white supremacy. They decided that if we have a system,
yeah, that's in the Bible though. They got that's what I want y'all to know. That's in the book of Genesis. They got together and devised evil against us. They all got together and got a system together. All the tribes that wasn't chosen, all the 12 tribes, they all put us in slavery. They put us all in slavery. Even the Mexicans, the Puerto Ricans, all of us was in slavery. All 12 tribes. Islanders, they put us wherever they wanted to and used us and worked us. And it's the reason why that happened, because we were the rulers. And somebody said that black people ain't never ruled. Yes, we did. They just don't want you to know that. They hid all that. And they got some of our books up there in the Vatican. See, the Vatican is a real place. It's a real country that we don't even know about. We don't even go there. The reptilians live there.
I think.
And they suck blood.
Well, I think if just for clarity, you said reptilians are white people. Let's just call the reptilians white people.
Well, some of them are black. Obama's one. And Michelle. They drink blood. They got some that's black. Yeah, because they destroyed the whole world. They got a lot of people working with them. All kinds of people working with them. Period. But I want, this is another thing I want to ask. Do y'all know why they be so busy trying to get all that blood, like blood banks and doing these blood drives? Do y'all know what they doing with that blood? They drinking it. It says it in the Bible.
Do you have that scripture available to read to us?
Yes, it's in the book of Revelation. It says they are drunk from the blood of the saints. They've been drinking our blood. That's how they do witchcraft, by drinking our blood and stuff. And people just keep giving them blood, for free. They thinking we just doing this with the blood. Oh, just in case somebody needed for a blood transfusion. How come they'll give people $75 or $80 or probably more just to go get some blood?
Because people need it in the hospital.
Not that much. They don't need no blood that much. These people, this is a real business.
Yeah, because money involved.
Yeah, there's money involved, but they're actually drinking the blood. You got to do the research. They actually make food with blood, drink it. These are the elites.
Can you share your sources, or does the creator talk to you directly to give you these?
Yes, there's actually, it's the reptilians. It's the reptilians. It's all on YouTube and stuff. They tell their stories because they think it's normal. There's witches that do it too, and they think it's normal because it's the way they was raised. They get on YouTube and they tell real things. You just have to meditate, and God is in the right direction, because everything ain't for everybody. Like, I might be on the road to studying this. You might have to be on the road to study that other thing, and we gonna all put it together. That's how we gotta get free out of the system. We can't put somebody down. Oh, you said his name wrong. Oh, you did this wrong. No, we gotta all just encourage everybody. We gotta encourage each other. We gotta love each other because they hate us.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
Gotta get our love from each other.
Black people, logical.
Don't stick up for them. And how we gonna get free? Don't stick up for them. Period. Don't stick up for them.
Stick up for who?
For them. They getting theirs.
Yeah, but when you use the word they and them, can you let us know who you're talking about?
The wicked ones. Whoever the wicked ones is, that's part of the system that got us in slavery. Because it's the system that got us in slavery. Because if we wasn't free, how come people can come from other countries and get businesses, and our people is going through what we going through? For real. All these people, I can't understand how people can say, oh, slavery never happened. There's people that actually say that. Slavery never happened.
I believe that throughout this 3-hour plus conversation, that the answer to that question is white supremacy. That's the answer, white supremacy.
Right.
So we can call it what it is.
It's white supremacy, but I don't give them props like that, because they ain't nothing to me. I already know how they took over, and it's only because God let them take over, just to show us that who we are. We gonna let, and there's people that still protect them. I mean, they will die for the white man. Massa.
Yeah, I believe yes, there are a lot of confused victims who.
Yeah, you better watch your own people too. Some of them, when you be talking like this, it's them the worst ones. They'll jump in the front of a bullet for them people.
Yeah, it's very tragic. But yeah, do you have any information that you want to share involving Area 8, which is the area of sex involving white people? Do you think it's safe for non-white people and white people to engage in sexual activities?
Heck no. That's the worst thing you can do. They got diseases. They carry diseases. We didn't have no diseases. And God still be sparing us sometimes after our people be messing with them and come out without no disease. They made of diseases. They got it in their body. It's in their blood. Why do people do that? I don't understand why they do that. They downgrade when they do that, but they think they upgrade.
the sickness is white supremacy.
They are very sick.
Yeah,
They're really
I would also in the clip I played earlier, I would also say it's very dangerous for that to be occurring under the system. But Miss Tanya, we are attempting to replace the system with a system of justice.
Amen.
I don't know if that is gonna be possible if we have to kill all the white people, because I don't know if we're gonna be able to kill all the white people. So how can we?
Well, all of the white people's not gonna die. Some of them is gonna be, believe it or not, some of them gonna be clean, better than our people. Some of them love God more than our own. Some of our people done got so evil and so corrupted to where God will never have them ruling nothing. They're gonna be destroyed, period. Because they are corrupted.
I don't think the Creator put us on planet Earth just to rule. I think
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Some people's here to rule. Yes, they are.
why can't we just live in peace and
It
justice?
ain't them. No. Yes. Some people is more. Believe me, you don't want them in control.
They're already in control.
They gotta go though. You only rule for so long. Every ruler rule only for certain amount of years. Do the research. Every ruler only rule for so long. We the only ones that's gonna rule forever. We the alpha and omega, first and the last. Period. They only had a chance to basically make us jealous, because they was never really rulers. They always mess everything up they do. They can never rule anything in a righteous way.
Do you believe that this is the first time this has happened to black people?
We lost connection. Could be the usual suspects.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fascinating exchanges.
It honestly was. I was not gonna lie, I was gonna get off earlier, but yeah, definitely stimulating. She was talking about some stuff. I don't understand the Bible entirely. I don't study it, but I do understand that book holds some significance. So what she was saying, like I said in my statement about, we're just speaking two different languages. I believe that. We were even agreeing towards that. Racism, white supremacy. She definitely had some good things to say. Definitely some.
Yeah, I agree. She definitely has some very interesting things to say, but I still believe that there is also a disconnect between what's happening on planet Earth.
Very well said. So I can definitely say I definitely gained some insight tonight. It definitely seemed like we were all on the same page at some points, but just definitely, different definitions, just like different ways, I guess. But very well said.
You were saying.
What was that?
I was agreeing with a lot of what she was saying, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. I did get a bit confused. I didn't really know what she was arguing at the end. It seemed like, it was about the Bible.
Yeah, nobody's arguing.
I mean, sorry to my programming. It was a saying. But I guess I could just think about that. Are we doing closing comments or we just commenting still?
Yeah, pretty much the closing comments. Closing comments. I don't know if you covered. This was great. I think it was very insightful. It's nice to talk about racism. Definitely decompressed. I think very constructive use of my time. I was glad to have Miss Tanya here. Hope to see you again. I think this is a good way to practice counter war. Just talking about the problem, just thinking about the problem and thinking about the problem, acting as if the problem is counter war. We didn't really talk about that, but this is a great example of counter war. I appreciate everyone sticking with us through this entire discussion about race, about the problem, race problem. Yeah.
It was an interesting conversation. I enjoyed learning from different point of views. Glad to hear from others and hope to learn more in the future to get this system abolished.
Yeah, that was an interesting conversation. I definitely learned something tonight. Glad I stuck around. I would love to speak with that woman again earlier, at some time again in the future. In some, I don't know, maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. But yeah, still learning. Also like the elder. I'm just gonna say that.
Yes, definitely a very insightful conversation. You don't even realize how long it went on. Yeah, definitely very insightful. I hope Miss Tanya comes back and we get to discuss some more counter-racism together.
Yeah, for me it was interesting discussion. I don't know. I would get what Ms. Tanya came back. I feel like we should be a little mindful of like using the term elder and like what that really means in terms of like knowledge versus age. But other than that, yeah, it was a good meeting.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know why I assumed like that one was older. Correct. Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah, it's like she I believe she said she was 55, but there's a distinction between for me personally, I say old and I say an elder. Like I know a lot of old black people, which are people I really can't learn from, and I know elders, which are people I can't learn from. That's my distinction, my codified distinction. So, but yeah, what well said, Heirloom. Anyone else closing comments? Is everyone? Hi, CRWS Radio signing out.